not.
You guys ever have like things that you
No.
listen to, especially that connect with something that you're doing? So, for example, like certain podcasts, I would play a lot of Valheim while listening to certain podcasts.
Sure.
There's certain like if it's a game or whatever it is, and I think or like doing a puzzle. Like I'm a big puzzle. I do like doing the big 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzles and stuff. And I would rewatch through like The Office, and so a certain puzzle, as soon as I see it, I just picture The Office. It just pops into my head because it's so. I spent so many hours doing both at the same time. For me, with Dudesy, so much Power Wash Simulator while I watched and listened to that show.
Oh wow.
So much. So as soon as we talking about Dudesy, I
Think
just
about
immediately
power
pictured
washing.
like power washing the walls and the fans and all that stuff. Yeah.
Mundane activities.
It's silly.
It's
It's
funny.
pure silliness. But like I don't know, certain little like core memories just unlock with a certain smell or sound or thing. I
Sure.
don't know what it
Yeah.
is, man.
I'm eating it right now, but I do popcorn and cheddar jalapeno cheese dip, and like
Okay.
every time I do it, it reminds
Still
me
trying
of
to
like
figure
Halo
out,
LAN
like-
parties.
Halo part. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was like the gamer food. You know, it was
Yes.
popcorn.
Gamer food.
And how do you make popcorn less messy and more intrusive on your controller? Yeah, cheese dip, obviously.
That's actually what I think of
No.
with not the cheese
Cheese
dip, but
dip,
popcorn. I don't think of movie theaters. I think of watching SNL with my parents because they would allow
Yeah.
me to stay up late
Yeah,
and have
yeah.
popcorn with them to watch SNL.
Dude, for me, with
Oh.
watching some of my parents, it's grilled cheese and soup because that was kind of like our Sunday night,
I like it. Yeah.
and
Oh,
we
that's
would like
fun.
whatever. There was all kinds of like I think not it was I think was it Candid Camera, like a hidden camera show that was on back in the
Sure.
day, and then like
Yeah.
America's Funniest Home Videos. There were shows like this, like kind of these family reality shows that weren't really reality TV yet. We would watch
Yeah.
those kind of dumb shows, but we would have a favorite at least was grilled cheese with soup. And I do
Oh.
remember we had these wooden trays I made in 8th grade shop. I made like 6 of them. And so everyone would carry their soup and grilled cheese into the living room on these little like wooden
that's
trays.
fun.
How
My
ridiculous. Man.
gosh.
Yeah.
Another memory, food related, of course, that I have is from another food that I associate with a memory is American Chinese food. It's bastardized Chinese food, of course. And eating it while watching the Royal Rumble with like friends over.
Yeah. I've got some wrestling foods that connect.
Yeah,
Doritos is the biggest one, but yeah, I've got some wrestling foods that connect for me as well.
Yeah, I don't eat them anymore because I'm not 5. But Hot Pockets remind me of Counter Strike.
Not 5.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I
Not
mean, I would
5.
have like 2 or 3 like lined up there while I'm like, you know.
Did you see that Hot
PC
Ones
gaming.
partnered with Hot Pockets to make Hot Ones
did,
flavor?
yeah.
And I was like, do you want diarrhea with your diarrhea?
Yeah,
Is that
I
what
don't-
that
Yes.
is?
Yeah.
That's
I
why
want
I
to
love
pick
it.
the worst thing in a pastry form known to man and
Yeah.
add hot diarrhea stuff to it. You know, yeah, that's the
That's
match
why
made
I
in
love
heaven.
that Jim Gaffigan bit where he says the instructions say remove from pouch and insert directly into toilet.
Yeah,
Toilet
he was
pocket,
right.
Yeah, he was 100% accurate.
It's absolutely accurate that what he
Don't.
said.
By the way, if you're listening to this and you're over 30, don't eat a Hot Pocket. Don't be like, I wonder what that
I
tastes
don't.
like.
Yeah, I didn't mean to sound
Nowadays.
judgy when I said that, but also grow up. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
No,
Like in my
I-
20s, I ate it all the time. But once I hit 30 and I had one, I was like, I'm never eating one of these again.
condone the judging.
It destroyed me.
You
It
can, okay.
destroyed me.
Yeah. Well, we're pro judging of Hot
We're
Pockets.
pro-judging,
here.
we are.
Yeah, this is a
Of
fair
certain
one. I
things.
feel this is fair.
Yeah, I think so too. You know, we used to a long time ago. I used to have Derek close the show with words of wisdom, but I like that we're starting the show with words of wisdom from Kyle. Just grow up. You know,
Just grow
Yeah,
up.
grow up.
That's all I'm asking.
Yeah,
How about
grow up.
like a
Hashtag grow
filet
up.
mignon? You know, something fancy and adult. All right.
I think it's
Yeah.
pronounced fillet
something I
mignon.
can barely
so-
say.
Fillet mix. Yes.
something to
exactly.
consider.
My apologies. My apologies. Yes.
All right,
True.
well, let's start this episode 193 of the Current Gen Podcast. My name is Tim. I'm here with
Dude.
Kyle, Dan, Jeff, and apparently we've got all kinds of food situations happening off screen. I like it. I like that
Bro.
this is happening. Yeah.
We're this close to 200. We got to do something.
Okay.
Oh
what are we
yeah,
doing?
we should.
Are you
gotta
coming
do
back up to
something for
Colorado? Come back up to
milestone.
Colorado. We'll do something in person.
I don't. It's like cost money to go places. I don't know.
It's really stupid. It's really.
Yeah, I know. Can't I just
I
teleport?
want to opt out of the whole money
Seriously.
thing. Is that
Yeah, I
an
know.
option?
Is
I don't
there a
even have-
box I can
I don't,
check
even
off?
have,
Yeah.
I don't even have student loans to forgive, and I kind of wish I did now. Like, so I could feel some form of relief from the debt I have.
Yeah.
I
Can you
have
just
no
take some
relief.
payment
I have
off
no
my
relief.
plate each month? That'd be great.
Yeah,
Yeah. That'd be pretty
forever
cool.
until I die,
Yeah.
and then after I die, somebody else has to pay it. That's great. That's awesome.
All right. Well, don't worry. Biden is a regular listener, so he'll hear you loud and clear.
Bidenomics.
He's going to hear me from the mountains, the front of the Himalayas. That's where he's
He'll
going to
hear
hear
you.
me from.
Yeah.
You guys, he's been asleep for 4 years. I don't think he's. I don't know if we're.
Their weekend at Bernie'sing him.
Yeah. He's they just uncryogenically freeze him every single time, and
I still a sleepy.
Like it's not long enough to get his word like center back in his brain, from being frozen. So
His word center.
Sleepy Joe.
I still sleepy old man than orange faced moron, but I don't know.
Yeah, I hope we
dead
vote another
person.
80-year-old in. That's what.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
want.
no,
Dan,
absolutely.
hang on, Dan. You don't like Trump? Hot take coming in.
I know.
Yeah, right.
Just about as
Whoa.
hot as his skin,
Whoa.
like which it's
Dude,
like the sun.
I love the Shane Gillis bit about how Biden turns into a Roomba when he's trying to get off the stage. It's
Yeah.
pretty.
Yeah.
Roomba.
It's good. It's a good.
Pretty
visual
good.
for sure,
Wandering. Yeah.
All right. No more politics because we suck at that. Let's talk about
No,
video
yeah, I don't
things
even know
that
what I'm talking
we're-
about.
Yeah.
Well, we're not even all good at those. We know that Dan for sure is good. I think Kyle sometimes is good. Jeff and I might stink at video games, but we still like them. We don't really know if we're
I
good
have
or
a
not.
channel that is going to stay up forever called Jeff Sucks at Games. So the proof is
Leave that up.
voting.
Yep.
You gotta
Yeah.
leave it up.
Leave that up. But let's talk about games that came out this week. I think the most notable release had to have been. We already talked, and I only say this because we talked about Call of Duty a little bit last week. We can circle back if there's any new thoughts on it. So yes, that's a major release. But to me, for our purposes, I think it's all about like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name. The long title. I had to take a deep breath after saying it. But
Sure.
it's on Game Pass, so I think a few of us have at least dabbled, right? Just a little bit of a diddle, at least in this game. But Kyle's our resident Yakuza game pro and major fan, so I kind of want to just get your thoughts, Kyle, on this game. I'll just start it off by saying, hey, it looks a lot better than I thought it would. I installed it on my PC,
Dude, me
fired it
too.
up, and I was like,
That's-
this looks really nice.
That's me with every one of these games. I swear to God. Like, I'm
Yeah,
like,
I don't ever think, and I'm not saying this is a technical showpiece or anything, but I never think of the Yakuza or Like a Dragon series as a technical showpiece series.
Yeah.
It never looks bad, but I'm never like, oh, when we're talking about best graphics of the year, like it just doesn't come to mind. This is a sharp looking game.
Does look nice.
Yeah.
It's got some really good reflections. It's got really good character models and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a really sharp looking game. It plays really well. I like how fluid the combat is.
What do you think about the web, the little webbing?
I love it. Yeah, I love it. It's stupid. Yeah, it makes no sense at all.
It's so
he's
dumb, I love
he's a
it.
spy now or something. It's like Kiru just couldn't. I guess spoilers for a 3-year-old game, but like he. Well, I don't want to spoil it. Never mind. He's back. He shouldn't be.
He's
but They
here.
explain why he's here.
Yeah.
somehow Palpatine has returned.
Somehow Kiru has returned. Yeah.
Unlimited bullshit.
Yada, yada,
through,
yada,
through Sith
here.
magic or MacGuffins.
Yeah.
You do find a magical dagger that leads you to the end of the movie. No.
That's awesome.
It's really good. I'm really enjoying it. They always figure out some way to bring this sad character back in to get more sad stuff done to him, and this has
Yeah.
got to be one of the saddest characters in video game history. Like it's insane how much they just want to throw at him.
He's
but
like that
it's
goalie from that sketch. It was Scott something who keeps getting hit in the face with the ball. Have you guys
Oh,
seen
dude.
that sketch?
Yeah.
Was that an SNL sketch? No, that was like a British one. That
It was
like
a British sketch
yeah.
where the same guy of goalie, every shot is hitting
He's
him in
like
the face.
injured. He's literally in a wheelchair at
Yeah.
one
And
point.
then by the end, he's like knocked out, but they sit him up in a chair just to like
Yeah.
try to block the
Yeah.
penalty kick, and it hits him right in the face. Like this is this character. He just keeps
Yeah.
getting dragged back out there just to
Oh,
get hit in the face.
absolutely, yeah.
Given
yeah.
the worst ultimatums of like, hey, we can kill your friend, or kill you, or kill
Yeah.
whoever you love.
Yeah,
Or you can work for
we know-
us.
and then he's had an orphanage since like the third, really the second or third game. But like, they're like, yeah, we could just like stop funding the orphanage, and it's just like, well, I guess I have to do this then.
Yeah.
I guess that's just like that's again, they just drag him in. There's always a reason. It never feels.
Just when I thought I was out, they dragged me
Yeah,
right
exactly. I'm not saying it's the most like unique, way to bring someone in, but they always got a way. But anyways, it's really good. I really like this. There's 2 different fighting styles. There's your spy fighting style with the before mentioned like webs, like slinger or whatever. A little more fluid combat. Kiru's also always known to be not a martial artist but a brawler. But like he's training at a temple on his off times. In this game, he's picked up a whole new fighting style. the blue fighting style, which is the spy fighting style, is a lot more fluid. It's a lot more technical, but you can always switch back to his brawler style, which is kind of a red aura essence or whatever. And it's just like, it's for slugging, man. It's just for slugging people down. So there's no grace to it at all. It's just about picking up people and throwing them around and just delivering the damage on them. But yeah, it's wild because they kept on saying this is a short game, and I'm sure you could blow through it in 10 to 15 hours if you were just beelining everything. But there is like just as much side stuff as there always is. You know what I mean? So it's like you could get lost in this game. I spent 3 hours playing today, and I didn't do a single player mission at all. I was just running around.
Is it more of the random, like, what mini game is this type of stuff?
Yeah. Like I went in and I played some games at the arcade, which is a classic. I went around and played some of the mini games. I did the cabaret thing, which like you're all talking
like
about.
A Dragon, you collect recycling in one, like on a bike.
Yeah, you do. That is one of the mini games. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's a cabaret. There's a cabaret mini game in this one where you're talking to live action hostess girls.
Oh,
and
I've seen that in the reviews.
It's weird, but that's what we're all here for. Whenever you play Like a Dragon, is weird, just weird stuff that doesn't mesh well with.
You mean those are like the cutscenes that your wife or parents walk in?
They walk in during
every single time. Yeah, they're like, "What are you playing?" And there's a lot of judgment.
It's a video game. Shut up, please.
Yeah, right.
Did you guys see the one that someone? I think one of you posted it of Peter standing behind Mary Jane as she's trying to block him from getting hit from the game. Yeah. That was really funny. Of course, my mom walks in right then.
Exactly. Yeah. Man, yeah, it's just more, of the old school Yakuza style brawler, beat 'em up type of game.
The finishing moves are fun. Like those are awesome, very satisfying.
Yeah, all the heat moves are all still there, and I really just enjoy, again, like it's not like it's not like Phantom Liberty where it's like this is a good spy story, like it's just cool to see him have a different application in the world that he's playing in, rather than just being like the Yakuza guy. Yeah. So there's some cool stuff going on here in the story as well.
Does it tie into the Like a Dragon game?
It ties into Like a Dragon 7 for sure. Like you'll like just arrive as you just missed the main character from 7, and I played that game like in 2021 or something like that, or 2020. So it's pretty recent in my head. Where I'm like, oh yeah, like y'all are just missing each other the entire game, which is interesting.
I like that. That's cool.
And you're running into old familiar faces and stuff like that are from those games. And this is supposed to bridge all the way to the new. Like a Dragon that's coming out in January. So Infinite Wealth, yeah. So I'm really enjoying it. I'm gonna do all of the mini games. I'm gonna really just suck as much as I can out of this game because it's not gonna be repetitive to play another one here in December because the fighting system is completely different. So
you're doing like Animal Crossing stuff in it. So
yeah, apparently, yeah. I'm enjoying it. Has anybody else played it? Anybody played it a little bit?
Played it a little bit.
I refuse. No, yeah, I played it. There's too many. Okay. I have to read when I play it. I refuse. I
wait a couple weeks. That dub's coming.
I know it is. I don't feel the need to wait. I'm plenty fine reading it and chugging along and piecing the story together just fine, even as a.
The written translation seems pretty good, right?
This translation's great.
They leave out, I think a lot of subtitle writers do this. They leave out the parts of the sentences where the character's repeating something somebody just said at them. Like, what did you just say? Like, did you just say this? They cut that out. I can tell that they're doing that.
Oh, okay.
Because I think that's like a rule in subtitle writing. Just cut that out for English speakers. Because we don't have time to read all that. But anyway, something I noticed. I beat chapter 1 so far, and that's a short chapter. That's like by save time, it's like
prologue.
90 minutes. Yeah, prologue and chapter 1 I'm done with. So I'm at chapter 2 now, where you were kind of given an ultimatum to save your friend, and by some shady people from an organization that sounds familiar, and that's where I'm at. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I like how no one's supposed to know who Kiru is in this game, but everyone's like, "Kiru, is that you?" And I'm like,
literally everybody, even the shop managers are like.
I mean, the game has to happen. There has to be gameplay. So yeah, but I thought that was.
It's always the important people to the story that recognize him. It's never a random thug or whatever. Although they still exist. There's still plenty of ne'er-do-wells on the streets that want to fight you. For no reason at all, other than you have a punchable face and they want money.
It's great, yeah. And this is a series staple, but like from a drunk guy who's just like wandering the streets to a homeless person, or a gang of hooligans, or actual Yakuza guy. Like there's different classifications of guys, and getting into these fights, it's a series staple, but they're still fun.
Yeah.
You're like,
they're so
all right,
fun.
here's a drunk asshole,
How is this
Beat
happening?
this guy's
Every
ass,
every freaking corridor I walk down.
When you said ne'er-do-well, it reminded me of Gary Gulman when he has a joke about a bunch of ne'er-do-wells, and he goes, "How often do well?"
Nair.
He's great.
He's such a great writer, dude.
He's great. He's
yeah.
great.
I like it so far. I've always liked the whatever story I'm presented with from these games. Especially because they're very much like a soap opera.
Yeah, melodrama out the wazoo.
Melodramatic and unserious. Don't get me wrong.
Someone
There's
is
still going to
screaming
be
about something, and it's sometimes not important, but someone's screaming about it, So good stuff.
there was a side part because they were just introducing you to basically a side quest you can stumble upon if you run around enough. Mm-hmm. There was a side quest where it's on the way to a main mission where some kid kicks his soccer ball up into a tree, and I'm like, we have time for this, really? It's just so funny. But
who's gonna get it, Jeff? Who's gonna get it?
It's his cat in the tree sideline.
Well, I do have the Spider-Man web, so I guess
just web it. It's on your watch. It's in your watch.
You do, yeah.
I love that it's like so. I don't know. It feels breezier compared to the heavier narrative games that we play. Don't get me wrong. There's still because I've played enough of the Judgment games and Like a Dragon 7 enough to know, or Yakuza Like a Dragon, whatever it was called here. I played enough of them to know that there are still going to be like those emotional or possibly disturbing or heavier moments in the story. But by and large, you're still like, as an American, outsider looking in, you're kind of like, this is kind of silly sometimes.
Yeah.
And I welcome that. I welcome that tone because it's not.
You're not getting this tone really anywhere else. Where don't get me
wrong, it is silly. There's some silly stuff in there, but it's more like cerebral silliness, if that makes sense. Whatever. Can't say cerebral. It means people are too dumb to play it. But you're
not allowed to use that word.
It's not a good
describe. Yeah, people get really mad when you use that word. Don't use that word.
Yeah, that's a bad one.
Dirty word.
Wait, what?
Cerebral. Ugh.
Cerebral.
Pretentious.
So pretentious. It's ass. But I'm just saying it's not as, I'm not saying there's like no emotional. I don't mean to make it sound like it's lighthearted.
Yeah, I can get super emotional. I know this one is supposed to have a really big emotional story, but like at the same time that you're being delivered emotional stuff, you're also beating up like grown men in diapers in a fetish club. So
yeah, exactly.
It's just
good.
The balance is there. It's balanced as all things.
First of all, they had it coming. Like that's
yeah. Don't be weird. Not to kink shame. Don't be weird.
No, don't be stupid and don't be weird.
To quote ourselves from like 15 minutes ago, grow up.
Yeah, grow up,
guys. That's the theme.
Get out of the diapers. Grow up.
Grow up. I only played the very beginning. I just kind of got into chapter 1 a little bit and then paused. That's when I messaged you guys. Like I don't know. Part of me feels like I need to be like Dan and go back and play every game that preceded this before I charge ahead.
It's a lot of story there, right? I mean,
it's a lot.
Yeah,
and some of those games are obviously way longer.
90, 70 plus hours games,
Yeah,
it's a lot.
But I did like the opening. I thought it was compelling, and it's done cinematically. Interesting use of real life footage.
Yeah,
I thought. I think you said, Kyle, everyone's trying to be Remedy because Remedy likes to do that with the real life footage. You don't see that a lot in games these days, but when graphics are good enough that you can kind of swap between them somewhat seamlessly and it's not totally jarring.
Yeah.
That's a good sign. I could tell the difference, but it was still pretty cool when they
I wasn't even paying attention enough to notice, so that's I'm just too dumb to notice stuff like that. But that's how impressive it was though, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, no, in some mediums I've seen that before, done in ways that I find to be charming, others find it jarring. But I remember when Wally did it and they used Fred, what's his name, was he the president in Wally making the I forget who it was. I'm blanking out on his name. You guys gotta help me out. That he's dead now. This comedian actor. He's very funny. Fred. Anyway.
Astaire. I don't know.
Nope.
Fred Astaire died way before Wally.
Dead Freds.
Now I'm gonna have to look it up. Anyway, so I find it to be, it's got cool cinematics. The opening sequence of you're clearly the hero, but you don't necessarily want to. You're kind of like, come on, guys, let's not do this. So there's a little bit of that.
Fred Willard, that's right. He
Fred
died
Willard,
during COVID. Damn.
Fred Willard, yeah. He has some live action moments in Wall-E, which I remember being like, that's weird, but somehow works, and it's super charming. I like the way they did this. But anyway. I thought the opening of this was really compelling, but there's certainly part of me that's like, oof, do I need to at least go watch a recap or hear a recap to hear more about this main character?
I think there's enough of a pull, in my opinion, because especially near the end of chapter 1, right after you leave the diner, like before you leave the diner, I should say, you have a sit down with somebody who explains literally everything you just went through before in the other games, and he's kind of dead on the money.
Yeah.
He's actually theorizing what happened, but a lot of it is true. So it's kind of like, well, I feel like that's enough of a summary. Like I feel enough of a pull to understand the story, and I feel the emotional weight of it.
That should be enough. I think you're probably right. You know, it's the same thing I would tell people who want to play Witcher 3, which is by far the best game in that series, and it's not close. Like Witcher 2 was a pretty good game with some flaws. Witcher 1 does not hold up great. You go back and play that, it is not that great.
Which it's such a shame because that game has such a great story.
It's got an amazing story, but I don't. People don't necessarily need to go play.
To go back to. That's why I'm so glad it's being remade because like it needs it really bad. So
and the second one has a great story too, with a great.
Second one's got a wonderful story. One of the greatest FMVs, not FMV, but one of the greatest CG sequences of all time.
Yes, amazing CG sequences. And
then it's completely. It's like easily in the top 5.
And you have to choose like 2 major paths, and it absolutely changes like the last third.
Changes
of that game.
and it changes the entire second act, I think.
Second act, yeah.
Yeah, I think everything about it, changes.
But in the third game, kind of what Jeff's describing, not only is there someone there as you're kind of like getting cleaned up to go see the king, they're interviewing you to like, just to make sure we have our facts straight about what happened. And they recap everything with you, and they actually let you make some of the choices that Geralt made in the previous games. Remind us
when games
one that you did that, which thing you did here.
Yeah.
So that allowed a lot of people to just jump into Witcher 3 and go. And even then it was confusing because there's lots of...
Yeah, I would say Witcher 3 was probably the starting point for like 70% of the people who played that series.
Yes, never played the other one, so...
Yeah, exactly. So, I put like, 3 hours into Witcher 3 and I'd played like none. And I didn't stop playing because I don't understand anything that's happening. It was just, I get distracted very easily and I commit to other things.
And really, like, you can enjoy that game through the whole entire thing. But then when you come up and you meet like Roche, not Roche the, the horse, but Roche, like your buddy, like that. He's from 2, so it's like it doesn't matter. Like you'll get you'll understand the story that you're going through in this game, but like you just don't know who that guy is. That's it.
Right.
That's the baggage. And that's kind of what I feel like. You'll show up to someone like inside somewhere, and some theme music will come on, and a familiar face will show up, and you're like, hey, it's that guy. But it's never really like super important to the overall story. It's just kind of like member berries type of stuff. So
there's a pretty awesome scene in 3 with a major antagonist from 2. He's this big burly assassin dude, and depending on what happened in 2, he may or may not be in 3 for you to interact with and have this cool scene with.
That's
so
interesting.
Anyway,
I like that kind of Mass Effect bleed over plot.
Mass Effect's a good comparison.
Mass Effect does that too. If you started on 2 or 3, it's like, did you kill the Rachni Queen or did you
that's true.
Conversely, you have to play all the Spider-Man games in order because they do no recap at all. Like in 2,
right.
I'm like, wait, there's 2 Spider-Man. Like if I just started with 2, I'd be like, there's 2 Spider-Man. Wait, what's Octavius doing in the raft? Like, wait, what? What's going on? Like he would just kind of be.
Yeah, I guess they do that.
Who the heck is this pigeon guy?
What is it like?
Nothing would really make sense.
It's like a 2-minute thing that's done because they're trying to write an essay about who they are. Remember that when Peter and Miles are talking about? I was bitten by a radioactive spider. But it's a brief recap and doesn't give you all the details for sure. But like they do give you like a little recap.
Oh, okay.
Remember that in Spider-Man 2?
Yeah. I must have skipped.
It
must have been like.
It happens like on a call, or something like that.
Yeah, they're like talking to each other, and
it's very light. Yeah.
It's like 2 minutes long.
That shows how much I pay attention when there's actually like other stuff going on the screen.
You're like, "Ee!" as you're swinging.
As
they're talking. Yay! Wait, what did Jameson just say? Okay, whatever.
That guy's he's such a tool.
Yeah,
he's such a tool.
All right. So, like a Dragon Gaiden, it's not uninstalled. It's one of those things where I'm like, I don't know if I can keep playing this, guys. But the more I thought about it, and hearing Jeff also remind me that like you can play it and enjoy it and not get everything and still get a lot out of it. So maybe I did like it.
Enough
and
of
it looks
hook,
cool.
in my opinion, after chapter 1.
It's got a cool vibe to it. Another, I thought, pretty remarkable release for this week, or at least notable release this week, was the DLC for Tales of Arise called Beyond the Dawn. So Dan, I'm looking at you. Don't know if you were Is this something that
So
you're
no,
getting?
he didn't play
No.
it. That's what that
There's
means.
no time. There's no
Did
time
I
for
did
this.
I
Are you
just
crazy?
now remind you of this?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No, I mean, I
he
knew it was
says.
coming out. I just didn't know it was this week. But there's no time. I ain't got time for that. Like,
Are you gonna play it at some point? You think?
no, I will. But like the
Yeah.
thing, I mean, I have to look up real quick unless you guys remember when did the game actually come out? Like
2020, right?
21?
I think it was 2 years.
Oh, 2021
Two?
might be right. because We were
2021.
talking about cliffs a lot that year. Yeah.
Dude, the cliffs though,
Yeah.
for real.
We did talk a lot about cliffs.
The cliffs. So 2 years is a long time to then suddenly be like, oh hey, important DLC. It's like
Yeah.
I gotta replay the game, guys. Like I'm sorry, I have to.
You don't.
Like,
You don't have to
You're
replay
putting
the
that
whole
on yourself. That
no, I am
that.
putting it on myself because I have a shitty memory. That's the thing. I have a terrible memory, so I need
You
to
can
replay
jump
it.
into Cyberpunk without doing a replay. I think
Unless
you'll
they
be
do like some kind of recap thing.
You
I
can
have
do
a
a recap on YouTube. You know,
well, that's true. I could do that too.
Yeah.
If there's a good
I think there's a good one.
I
Yeah,
know
I know
actually
that's like
don't
a
know if there
90.
is,
Isn't it like a 90-hour game? Like
it's a long game. That's the thing. For me, like I know I say
Yeah.
that and it's like, oh Dan, don't be silly. It's like, no, literally, I have a terrible memory. So like
No, there's sometimes, dude.
Yeah.
I'm there with you. There's sometimes I don't remember like a what happened in a game.
I mean, I've played
so-
Final Fantasy VII in my entire lifetime, like over 30 times, and there are still like
Yakuza's
little
that way
things,
for me.
you know.
Like
Yeah,
where I'm like, isn't he dead? You know,
Right.
I thought
70
that was
hours.
my
You know,
dad.
there's
Isn't
nine,
that my
there's 9 of
dad?
those games. I can't keep it all up there. You know,
yeah.
like
It's just we're getting older, you know. It's just things
Yeah.
don't work, you know. Like things just don't work.
Things don't
But
work.
also to be, and also in additionally, that game is fantastic, and I want to replay it again. To be
I
honest,
want to beat it. You know, I'm
DLC
I'm
looks
only
cool.
partially way through it, so it is something
I want
that
to play
I
it
have on my
that one,
secondary hard
one
drive.
time. That's what I
yeah,
want.
you should play
guys,
that.
I
one
just
time.
want to go see the cliffs. I don't really care about the game. I just want to see the
Dude,
cliffs.
No, seriously
Boot
though,
it up
guys,
for
the
the
cliffs,
cliffs.
No.
like for real
Ghost
though.
of Tsushima came out that year. We're not talking about the cliffs, okay? Wait, that was
Listen,
2020.
good cliffs, good cliffs.
Never mind.
Solid
Maybe that was
cliffs,
the best cliff
Kyle.
of the year. Yeah.
But like,
Frankly,
I think-
some have said the best
Yeah.
clips.
the
I
best
looked in. I
cliffs.
said, "Wow, these are great cliffs." The
Literally what I said. This is literally
Beautiful
what I said.
cliffs.
the Guardians of the Galaxy, which won, I think that won our game of the year that year. That
Yeah.
that had better cliffs, I think. So sorry, better.
And,
Alien
space, and they were
cliffs.
aliens.
There's
They
no
were
yeah.
space
there's no
cliffs.
cliffs
Yeah.
in space.
Yeah, that's
Tim.
space
Don't
cliffs.
be
They
silly.
were-
Don't be silly.
What did I climb on then, Dan? There was
In
platforms.
There were
space, no one can
cliffs.
hear you, Cliff.
You climbed on
It's
goop
based on
goop
big cliffs.
on goop.
Uh,
And
all right,
What
well
if
then-
Paltrow's products were in the game?
moving on to other games that released this past week. Of course, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. Which Kyle, do you stand by your "do not get this game" recommendation?
Do not buy this game, guys. I am having fun with zombies. Don't buy this game.
Don't buy this
Don't
game,
buy this
Grow
game.
up. Grow up
Yeah.
and don't buy
Grow
it.
up. Stop buying these games.
guys. It has a
Grow
53
up.
average on OpenCritic. 53 is
It
bad.
deserves that. That's what it deserves. You know the
It's-
zombies
oh,
mode? You know what it launches from? The beta DMZ from last year.
That's
Yeah.
insane. That's
since
not
last week's episode, though,
The DMZ is not a finished product. So like whenever you load out or in, it'll say DMZ beta in the corner
That's
of
not
zombies,
good.
and I'm like,
That's not
Jesus
good.
Christ.
all right,
I'm
but
having
have you
fun
guys
with
seen,
zombies.
though?
Don't get me wrong. It is a lot of it is fun with a few people or whatever. But like, if you buy this game like I did, like you're like me, part of the problem. All right.
yeah.
Don't be part of the problem. Be part of the solution. You know.
Well,
I'm with you.
that's the thing. The solution is, and since our last week's recording, there's been reporting on that they were given at max like a year and a half to develop the thing, whereas previously they've been given like 3 years. I think they were
It
saying.
was a 16-month dev
Uh,
cycle for this. game.
Yeah,
It's crazy. I don't, you
so-
know, like in the multiplayer maps, they're all from the original Modern Warfare 2.
No. You know what? The Like a
They're
Dragon
old
Gaiden
maps.
game we just talked about was developed in 6 months. So I don't want to hear this Call of Duty guys complaining.
No.
Don't,
Yeah.
don't act like you're not
I'm-
reusing. You're reusing everything from Call of Duty games. You should be able to
It's-
turn these out pretty quick.
It's insane. Don't buy this game.
So dumb.
What about-
Zombies is fun though. Yeah, it is. It's open world. It's not like like stadium based
Warzone?
or whatever. You know how like the original like zombies are kind of like stages or
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
This is like an open area.
Mm.
It's an extraction type of game. So you're going in with gear. You leave with gear. If you
Cool.
die there, you lose the gear. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So it's like it's all about. But there's no player versus player. So that's what sucks about DMZ is that like people grief extract, or I'm sorry, they exfil grief. So it's like they just sit there at exfil sites and just kill you as you're trying to exit the game, and that's all they do. So like that's what made that game suck. There's none of that in this game. So you're just killing zombies, and you can run into other people, and you can kind of do stuff together. But like, it's fun. Don't buy this game though, guys. It's crazy. You don't need to buy this game. You know what? Next year, don't buy that one either. Stop it.
Yeah.
So
Stop buying Call of Duty. Just stop doing it.
cut it out. Yeah.
We're just
Battlefield
doing our
5
part.
is fixed, guys. Go play that. That's a better game.
By the way, Kyle Haight bought this game. Don't think he bought it because he wanted to.
I bought it because my friends are dumb. And they
Yeah.
they have to play dumb games, you know. And I like my dumb friends, so I buy dumb games too. That's
I like to think it's because you ate a certain food you used to eat while playing Call of Duty, and you kind of like Manchurian candidated over to the store.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, right.
He was like, "Wait, no!" As he's taking the bite.
I just woke up and I have Call of Duty. What happened?
What happened? Yeah.
Like Memento. It's like Memento.
Football Manager 2024 is out. This game called The Invincible is out, which kind of has a cool look to it. It's like
Looks like a Jeff game, but
doesn't look like a Jeff game.
not
I've heard
enough
it's hard. I've
reviews-
heard it's really
not
hard.
enough Reviews
It's not based
are
off of
glowing
the
about
comic,
it,
right?
so-
It's like in the 70s.
No, that's just Invincible. How dare you?
Okay.
This is
Uh,
The Invincible.
The
It's a
Invincible.
space,
This is
like
like-
a space survival kind of game. No, is it
Survival adjacent, I guess. I
Yeah.
feel like it's more of a walking sim than anything else. But yeah, reviews were like not super glowing, and I was like, well, then I don't have to spend however much it is, $30 to $40
Yeah.
right now. You know,
This
maybe I'll
looks
wait for a
cool, though.
sale. Yeah, graphically it looks really rad.
Also,
I'm
the
all about
main
those sci-fi
cover
things.
is designed wonderfully with the red and the
Yes.
helmet with the skull in it. It just
Yeah.
looks really cool.
They
Like,
knew what
yeah.
they were doing when they were designing the stuff. you know?
Absolutely.
even the
So
font looks like an old like Atari game title
Yeah.
font. And I mean
It
that
kind of
as a
reminds me of
compliment, like, it looks cool.
Deathloop a little bit.
Definitely,
'Cause that has like that 70s
little
vibe, like-
retro vibe,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
seems modern at the same time. The user reviews on Steam are quite good,
yeah,
for whatever that's worth. Yeah, it's considered an adventure, single player, futuristic 3D. Yeah, you're right. It is more walking simulator. I
yeah.
don't
It's
know
more of
about
a just follow this path. I think it's actually more open though. You kind of have
It
to
looks cool, though.
figure out where to
and
go.
it's Steam Deck verified, guys. So,
Wow.
We lost Kyle. He said, "Steam Deck, get out of here with this. I'm leaving."
Not an obsolete technology now.
Yeah,
Uh,
new ones
I'm
coming
outta
out.
here.
Yes.
Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 came out, and
Oh, yeah,
guys,
the game of the year. Game of the
I
year
can
candidate.
confirm that IGN has said this game is better than Spider-Man and Starfield.
Stop.
So-
Stop it. Stop it.
They gave it a higher.
I don't know what's
score.
going on over there at IGN. I just
what's
don't
funny
at this point.
Is I actually
7GM.
I know that they have a lot of staff. They have editorial staff, and they've got your editor in chief that has to kind of let you convince them that the score fits what you're writing, what you thought. Like I know they have a whole process. They've explained it before as they've defended scores
Yes.
years past. So I've heard them describe it, and I'm like, all right, I kind of get what you're saying. And they talk out of the other side of the mouth though, as they say, like, we're all different, we're all individuals, and this was one reviewer's score. Like, why are you guys so mad at IGN? I'm like, because you're a singular outlet. You claim to have some sort of like, what's happening? You claim to have some
Sorry,
sort of.
that's I'm digging in my drawer and I realize how close it is to
Oh,
the
that's
microphone.
But yeah, you can't claim that it's one singular outlet and it all goes through this process, but also say no, they're all individuals. Let them have their own opinions. I'm like, this wasn't a user review. This was an IGN review, wasn't it? So I don't know.
Yeah.
This kind of stuff really does bother me. I'm like, if you're gonna have scores, take them seriously. Otherwise, go the route of Kotaku and Polygon, where you just talk about your feelings about it, but don't give it a score. All right, fair enough. Like, go that route.
Yeah, I'd actually respect that more. If
I
they
feel
just
like that's
went ahead
a
and did that.
very that is one of the best ways I've ever heard explained by what kind of review needs a score and what kind of review doesn't. That's
Yeah.
I think I completely agree with what you're saying. So
Yeah. So it's kind of annoying. It's fun to make fun of them for giving it a 9. I'm gonna laugh at
I feel
it.
but we've been making fun of IGN since Too Much Water. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we
Like,
have.
yeah.
You're right.
It's like so it's so old hat and like you know.
Are they the
it's-
ones that said during the Spider-Man Miles Morales review that he swings around with the exaggerated swagger of a black teenager?
Oh my god!
No,
Stop it!
there's
No,
no
they
way.
didn't.
There's no way they did that. That's not.
way.
That
that's
wasn't
crazy.
IG. Okay, that's got to be.
Yeah.
That sounds like a
exaggerated.
David
That shouldn't be
Jaffe
Because it's
quote.
become a meme now. If you see in the
That shouldn't
comments
be
of any
anybody.
Spider-Man 2
That's-
clips, you'll see, wow, look at the exaggerated swagger on that guy. Because it's become like a meme.
Wow.
Sounds like something David Jaffe would say, or the Dreamcast guy that everyone keeps posting in our group for some reason. I don't understand this. I don't understand that.
Can we stop it with that guy? That
Yeah.
guy sucks.
I've only watched like
Guy's
one of
never
them, and
had
I'm
a
like,
good take
oh,
on
he's
anything.
It's GameSpot. It's GameSpot. Oh my God, that's so funny.
GameSpot said
I
this.
really didn't expect it to be a legit public, like a real publication.
Dang.
That's so funny.
Look at that swagger.
Look at the exaggerated swagger
I hope
of
they
a
said
black
it like that. too.
teenager. It was a white guy doing the voiceover for the review too. It was exceptionally awkward. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the way he leaps off the rooftops and flips backwards to face the camera before falling into a headfirst dive is just full of the exaggerated swagger of a black teen. Gives me goosebumps every time he does it, especially as the music begins to swell. It's a real line in a review.
You
About
can't say
Morales.
any of those things.
No.
Hold on. So was that legit? Did Jeff find it?
GameSpot.
Yeah,
GameSpot.
Yeah, it was GameSpot.
No.
Yeah.
Jeez. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So TikTokers have memed that to death now with like every Spider-Man clip. It's like this
It's funny
doesn't have
because
enough exaggerated swagger.
As
and
much
stuff
as
like
we make
that.
fun of IGN, they're far from the worst. You know,
Oh,
like
they're not even close to the
Kotaku is
worst.
like
True.
easily Kotaku
Yeah.
Polygon, like
Yeah.
they're easily the absolute worst. So
And
Very good.
unfortunately, the whole thing with scores is like, again, like Kyle was saying, people aren't grown up enough for this, that, and the other. People aren't grown enough for just reading words. They need the score so that they can go online and
Scroll
argue
down.
like, well, this
Seven,
has this
seven.
score, you know?
you're really
Dude.
you're really defending a 7 right now.
Yeah.
Dan,
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
absolutely true, man. And I think we
Yeah.
talked about on the show too about. I think that was actually one of my airing of grievances or whatever we called it, where I was whining
Yeah.
about something, and I was saying people weaponizing scores.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we talked about this, and you're exactly right. That's what they do. They're like, oh, I can't
Why
believe
they do that? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why they do that.
Oh, it's
Why
so
are we
guys,
having
we're
a
crapping.
conversation if you're just going to end it by going, but 7? You know,
Yeah.
like, why are we even having a
Yes.
conversation? You
Right.
know?
Well, guys, we're crapping on a 9 out of 10 Game of the Year candidate with All-Star Brawl 2. I'm just saying we should be
I
careful.
know, yeah.
We
I
should
like how
tread
we
carefully.
took this time to like get on a soapbox about
Well,
whatever.
it's
instead of
funny
actually
that
talking about this
IGN
garbage video game that got a 9.
IGN decided to give this game a 9. The industry average is right around 7 out of 10. It got
Where
like
I
a
expected
70.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And they gave Starfield a 7, but the industry average is just under 9. So
Yeah.
cool. Whatever,
It's
man.
calculatable how like try hard they are. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's calculatable.
Like, of course,
It's
I saw the
quantifiable.
7. Yeah, it's quantifiable.
That's why I was hoping
Mark.
on some of their podcasts they'd be all defending it and being like, it's a 9, guys. This is what it's a 9.
Yeah.
And here's why. Okay.
Hold on a minute there, dude. I think you posted it in our friend of the podcast, Gaston, who we love dearly and have said that we love dearly and continue to love dearly.
That's right.
He was doing the
It's true.
well, hold on. People have said they love this
Well,
game, dude. And
Oh,
I'm like,
Jesus.
yeah, but it's not a 9, bro. Let's.
I actually
But
so
it's not.
I was curious, and I know we're spending way too much time on this game. I'm sorry, but I
know.
was curious,
Yeah.
and I actually did go read the review. It does not sound like a 9. This is someone who liked the first game but saw its shortcomings, and they scored it a 7. Same reviewer from the first game.
Oh,
Yeah.
so they're
They
using
scored it a
past
7.
logic to be
And
like.
I'm telling you, they used so many comparisons to how this improved over the first. It's almost like they were like, well, this is 2 points better than the first game easily. In the first game, I gave 7, so this is a 9. Like that seems to me to be the logic after
Right.
reading the review. It doesn't
Wow.
look like a 9. The graphics aren't that amazing. I
Yeah.
even think stuff like Brawlhalla has better visuals in this game, and that's a ripoff of Smash Brothers, like a free to play Smash
Yeah.
Bros. You know what I mean? So, whatever. I digress. Let's talk about Dungeons 4. I actually did download and try this. I was like, I gotta use my Game Pass.
Sorry, I'm thinking about all the 4s that we should be putting into the word
Dungeons
dungeon.
4. Yeah, replacing all the letters with 4s.
God damn it. God damn it.
That's such a great inside joke. I don't feel like explaining it to anybody.
Same.
Uh,
I
I don't
agree with
feel
you.
like.
Just go watch the Expendables. You'll get it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
it's that.
Fork spent 4.
Every once in a while, I look at my Game Pass and I'm just like, I pay for this. I should probably use these games every once in a while because
Yeah.
I'll kind of
No,
fall off.
we're really close to me having another no yes segment. So enough has
Awesome.
come out.
I love
Enough
it.
has come out where I'm
We got to
able
make
to,
that like a quarterly
yeah.
segment. Yeah.
We-
We'll need it. There will be some dead weeks coming in.
We
I'll
actually
make sure
have,
I'll
like,
time it
peer
with the dead
review
week.
No yes segment. Like in December, we need to like, all right, let me just give you the 2023 no yes recap.
Oh, that's actually really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something we need. So I played a little bit of Dungeons 4. I didn't realize there was Dungeons 1, 2, or 3. I'm not familiar with the series whatsoever.
There isn't. They just skipped to 4.
They just like Goat Simulator, but crazy.
Sequels sell better, guys. You know, that was
Yeah,
the whole
that's
marketing campaign.
If they did that, that would be amazing. If someone was just like, new game.
And they're just now getting away with it, and we're the ones that cracked it. You know, like that.
Right.
So it basically it's an RTS game, but it's really trying to go for that break down the fourth wall humor.
Mm.
And it's not bad, but it's certainly not great. Like I'm not laughing at the humor. It's nonstop, like witty little puns and jokes, and they'll even make fun of like game developers. They have a narrator who sometimes has some clever writing.
Dude, I
But
got a refund for a game like this like a
it's
few months
too
ago.
much. It's
Yeah.
too much.
Yeah.
And the characters are always ribbing each other, and they're kind of, I don't know, there's something about it that's just rubbing me the wrong way. And I know that eventually in the game, I've only done the first couple intro missions, which are just RTS tutorials. Like how to select your troops, how to make them go to a certain spot, how to make them attack. It's very basic RTS stuff right now.
Mhm.
And I know there's eventually actually some sort of base building or dungeon building. And I am curious like what that mechanic is like. Is that fun? I've heard people like that part of it. It's an RTS style base building though, so it's not anyway. But yeah, I just can't get over the vibe of it is just not clicking with me. They do a lot of pop culture references too, where the boss at the end of the first area leaves behind this golden gauntlet with jewels along the
Sure.
knuckles,
Sure.
and but the whole time they're making jokes, so you know this is just like a little kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudge to the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah.
And they
Clever.
literally in the cutscene, they even talk about, you know, she felt this way, but she can't roll her eyes in the cutscene, or like something like that, or she couldn't see the power of it because the UI doesn't work in a cutscene screen. Like they talk about the game,
Sure.
you know what I mean? Like I don't
Yeah.
know.
hate
There's
that.
something about that I'm like, this could be clever and funny, but it's just not. It's just missing the mark for me.
Yeah.
And then there's a moment where she just happened to be showing someone the gauntlet while trying to practice snapping her fingers, and so she did it, and of course like someone dies. So it's supposed to be funny, and it's just not. So so yeah, I don't necessarily recommend it unless you're really in a kind of a silly mood and you're like, let me play something super lighthearted. And I do like RTS games. It's not bad as an RTS. It's just not great either. So I don't know. I read some of the Steam reviews and people are saying, oh, it's not only fun to play, but it's hilarious. And I'm like, I don't know if it's hilarious, guys. I don't know if it is.
I bet they liked Thor 4, Love 4, and Thunder 4.
It
Right.
honestly, dude. It's so funny that you brought up Thor 4, and I'm not trying to crap on the MCU. I'm trying to be positive these days about MCU stuff because I know there's so much negativity around it. I don't want to be the guy who's piling on. But Thor 4, we can all agree, not their best film, and the humor fell flat for me in major ways throughout that movie.
Yeah.
It's in retrospect for me. Like it was one of
getting
those things where when I was in the theater, like the first quarter of the movie, I was laughing.
Okay,
I noticed
that's
my
fair.
laughs were petering out towards the end. And then now I reflect back on the jokes and I'm like, oh, that was kind of annoying actually.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't really into that. I don't know. It's a weird thing. And it wasn't like because the internet convinced me it wasn't funny. I like
get
to
it.
think I'm not subject to that, but it can happen, I guess. I can be influenced. But
Yeah,
it was
no, I get it.
definitely like something I think back on and I'm like, oh, that wasn't that
Well, you
funny.
probably
It
had
was kind of
adrenaline
annoying,
and
actually.
hype going into it as well, which helps.
Dude, I
of
was-
just higher, you know.
Dude, I was so hyped for that movie. Oh my
Uh,
god.
I'll have to say, Dungeons 4, if you've got Game Pass and a PC and want to give it a try, go for
Yeah.
it. But just know going into it, it's a lot of silliness.
There was a game that was like that I played. I'm pretty sure it was this year. I'm pretty sure it was this year.
Pretty sure.
It was like Bad Wizard or something like that, and the wizard was like, "Hey, player."
Oh, you talked about
Hey,
this one.
yeah. Hey, it was like doing the same thing, being meta and breaking the fourth wall, but it
Was it
just
called
wasn't
Evil
funny.
Evil Wizard or something?
Evil
like
Wizard, something like that.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where like the gameplay was actually kind of cool. It was just a dungeony side-scrolling thing. It's more like Hades or whatever kind of
Yeah.
camera angle. But it was actually kind of fun. But it was just like the fact that it would pause the game so much to talk at you and try to be funny at you, with very just no cleverness behind the jokes at all. Like just like, hey player, that's you. Pick up the controller and move me
Yeah.
around. Like it's like that's. I'm
One
just
example
not-
of a major bit they go for at
Lazy.
the beginning is they roll credits and tell you if you want to see the rest of the story, you'll have to go to a microtransaction store to buy it in all these incremental pieces. So like I see what they were doing and they go, oh, sorry, that was a script from a different game. Hang on. And they go back and they go, okay, here we go. And then they continue the story. So like they try to lean into this like fourth wall breaking
I'm tired.
thing.
I'm tired hearing about that.
That's fair. Yeah. No, so
it's just like too much. Like it's
it is
just,
it is too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Heart's
I
in the right place though. I respect that they were trying to do something.
that is when I did uninstall. So I installed both this and like a Dragon Gaiden. I installed both of them at the same time. They came out around the same time on Game Pass. Dungeons 4 is uninstalled. So that's officially I'm done with it. I actually, in my nerdy spreadsheets of gaming stuff that I track, I actually do have a column that says not finished, but I'm done. Like that's the title of the column.
Not finished, but I'm
This
done.
this is in that column.
You're the plain view at the end of There Will Be Blood. You're like,
I-
I'm finished.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even though it's like you didn't really do anything. You were just kind of
Didn't
like,
do anything.
it was like a shitty experience for you the
Yeah,
whole
you
time.
Double Dragon Collection apparently dropped this past
Yeah.
week.
I don't think it was an actual collect. I think it was just separate games you could purchase from the
Okay, I thought
Double
that was a
Dragon
collection.
series
Okay,
that have not been
Double
released
Dragon
yet.
Advance was a big one that people were talking about.
Super Double Dragon's a big one for me. That has not been out there on any of the official Nintendo emulators or on Steam or anything. So like that was the one me and my brother played.
Oh, that's awesome.
Non-stop.
Double Dragon rocks, man.
Yeah.
This is like one of the best OG series ever.
Yeah.
Like,
So
I
fun.
love this game.
Good
these
memories
games,
with those games.
Yeah,
Same.
Super Double Dragon. I think they're all like they're less than $10 a piece. So I don't know how many total, but I did see Advance and Super Double Dragon at least on the front of the Nintendo store, and those were both less than $10.
Nice, nice. So those are out. Beyond Sunset. Is that the VR game? No. What is
It
That's
Beyond?
might
that, like
be.
zombie. I think that's that zombie game, right?
Maybe.
It might be the
No.
VR zombie game.
And then Gunhead, which is like a pixelated, fast-paced shooter. And then
I
Risk of
wasn't-
Rain. Risk of Rain
I wasn't
Returns.
into that one, by the way. I played the demo for Gunhead,
Gunhead.
and it just didn't sound. It wasn't as charming as I thought it would be with that type of title. Like I thought it would be
there are
funnier.
really good kind of like Super Nintendo looking pixelated shooters out there. Like Bolt Gun's a great example. There's some really fun ones that you can play. Was it Proteus? That one was awesome
Yeah.
too.
This wasn't that
there's-
pixelated though. It struck me more as
Oh,
like
Proteus
trying to
is
be
cool.
Borderlands than anything else.
Okay, more Borderlands.
Cell shaded.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So cell shaded, but like poorly, in my opinion.
And then Risk of Rain Returns came out this past week, and
Remaster.
Sanabi.
Oh,
which I-
Yeah, I added those last two. I got Risk of Rain Returns, which was a remake of, or not a remake, I'm sorry, it's a remaster of the first one. And they added in a bunch of difficulty, whatever you call those things, meters or whatever you want to call them. You could switch, whatever. They have a bunch of difficulty settings now, and you can choose the how you want to play it. Like, do you want it to play like Risk of Rain 2, or do you want it to play like the old Risk of Rain game? So you can modernize the experience now. It's still hard as shit. Doesn't matter how much you lower.
Yeah,
the
those games are
difficulty.
hard. You know, the
Yes.
first one was such a surprise kind of indie hit. I don't think the second one landed quite as strongly, but I do think they're both popular.
There's
I
still
saw
a very
somebody-
dedicated fan base for both. Doesn't matter, like both of them. Like they're just like diehards, you know.
What are you saying, Dan?
I saw somebody like streaming that a few months ago. I had heard of the game. I just didn't even know what it was.
It's like a Vampire Survivors, but it's
Yeah.
type of deal where you're constantly getting flooded by enemies and you're getting new loot along the
Right.
way through little chests. But it is a platformer of sorts, so you kind of have to
like a
actually
third-person
move more cleverly,
shooting. Yeah.
and the enemies are way more aggressive. And
It's kind of
yeah,
like Returnal
it's tough.
to me. Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah, it's
came
like
up
Returnal.
with
Yeah,
side
well,
scrolling
that's
Returnal.
a good comparison. But basically, I did the second one like a couple months ago, or like I actually downloaded. I was like, that actually looks really fun, and yeah, that game gets insane.
it's
That
tough.
game is really crazy.
All
Almost
right, so I was
immediately.
confusing my games. Beyond Sunset is the very pixelated first-person shooter. It almost
Oh,
has
I
like
see.
Ghost Runner, Doom, very fast-paced shooting. But it's
Well, I should add
pixelated.
that one to, or at least check.
It
the
has a demo
consensus.
on.
Okay, that's worth it then.
Steam.
I'll get the demo. Yeah, I only played like one round of Risk of Rain, and I was like, "Oh, this is too hard right now."
This is
and,
difficult.
And I wanted
Yeah,
to.
it is.
I wanted to finish that first chapter of like a Dragon Gaiden. Sanabi is actually really cool. It just came out of early access. It's been in early access for a year, and it's another side-scrolling game. Very pixelated, but this is very story-driven type of like sci-fi game where you're an ex-soldier who has this really cool arm that lets you swing around like Spider-Man.
Ooh.
And that's actually how you attack enemies. Whenever you see an enemy, you basically swing to them or zip to them and use them to propel yourself forward. Like, it's really
This game
cool.
looks cool.
So there's a lot of like kinetic motion in the gameplay that they expect you to be really good at, but it takes a lot to get that good. So that's the tough part, is like getting good at the traversal. But anyway, the story is really cool because it's like he's an ex-soldier, something tragic happens that makes him want to go on a warpath. It's a revenge story. And there's also some cool like
Dude, the
sci-fi
reviews
world
are
building.
overwhelmingly positive on Steam.
Yeah. There's some really cool sci-fi world building stuff. And
I need
Sanabi
to-
is the name of like the villainous entity.
I need to grab this game. This game looks awesome. It's only 12
Yeah, it's like
bucks.
$12. Yeah. It was an easy buy for me. I was like, hell yeah, I'm getting this.
This looks like a
it's-
Dan game a little bit too, Dan. I'm looking. glancing at
I
it.
like
It's
so what
tough
is it,
though.
like
The
the
swinging is
samurai
really tough.
type of look to him, but like it's cyberpunk-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the
more
world is
cyberpunk.
cyberpunk-ish, but
And-
he's like
yeah,
a
I see
samurai.
he does have like a hat or whatever that's kind of samurai-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a
It's like a
demeanor
vibe,
that's very like doesn't talk a lot, and yeah. But yeah, the swinging is very tough, like because it's very picky about where you aim your. I think the left joystick is how you aim where you want to.
Mm.
Sometimes you can dash, and I'm just struggling right now. That's all I'm trying to say.
Oh, it's the same publisher as Lies of P.
Oh,
and
cool.
Okay.
Skull the Hero Slayer and a couple other notable games in recent years. That's cool.
It's cool though, man. It's definitely a Tim. I think Dan would like it too. It's definitely a Tim game. But
I
it's
like the
just
look of
the traversal is
grabbing
the
this
tough
one.
part. It's a little challenging.
Well,
for
Dan, you've
sure.
been playing Celeste on your streams recently. I feel like this is up your alley as well.
Yeah, I finished it. That game's really great, man.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's really good.
And it has a surprisingly poignant little oh, I see what they're doing. This is interesting.
Yeah, I like the it's like because it could have just been like
story.
hey, this is a challenging thing where you're climbing up a mountain and it's just challenging, but it's like they tie it into like mental health and like how the mountain like represents that for her and like kind of mixing in all the fantastical stuff of like the mirror image of her and all that. So
It's pretty excellent.
Yeah.
By the way, that's actually a really good transition. I was going to have us go ahead and talk about anything else we're playing before we talk about movies and headlines.
Oh, cool.
So, Dan, you're first up this week anyway. So you're playing Celeste, and you just finished it.
I did.
And you just gave your thoughts on it. Any other thoughts on that one and anything else you're playing?
Dude, the music of that game is bananas.
And you couldn't even really enjoy it as much because you're talking a little, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I'm still I definitely am still because I mean during the streams I definitely am just like, damn, this friggin' music, dude. Like, what the hell? And I just kind of sit there and bob my head a little bit. But it's just it's the music is phenomenal. It's so good. But yeah, that game, for anyone who likes platformers at all, and if for some reason you've never played Celeste, give it a try. It's really, really good. So Mario RPG Remake is coming out next week. Yes. So I was trying to think of what else to kind of play in between streams wise of because there's not much time left. And I didn't want to
stream that instead of just putting your head down and playing it nonstop. Are you actually streaming?
Yeah. Because I mean, it's obvious. I'm assuming it's going to be following that game pretty faithfully, but there's going to be some fun little surprises. I'm guessing. I think they've kind of basically said that anticipate something fun here or there. And I did stream the original one a few months back. I think it was earlier this year I did that, so I think that'll be fun to do. But I jumped back into Super Mario 64, because I forgot I had not gotten all 120 stars. So I'm doing a 120 star run.
Good Lord.
So right now,
some of those are really annoying to get.
Yeah.
They are. I mean, I'm definitely there are the later levels where I'm like, man, this is ridiculous. Because I mean, the platforming, compared to newer 3D Mario games is not amazing. So
yeah.
But it's like muscle memory. It's just I played this game so much back in the day that you do get used to it, and it's not too bad. But there's definitely some dumb deaths where I'm like, all right, well, I just fell off that ledge for no reason.
Yeah.
So I'm up to 96 stars. So I just need 24 more, and then I got all of them.
The mechanics they introduced, that of course Nintendo has fine-tuned and improved astronomically, but they introduced the triple jump or the kind of the run and crouch and the launch jump and then the wall jump, all that kind of stuff. They did such a good job with so much of that. But you're right, it's dated now because they've improved upon it so much across the Galaxy.
How the heck do you not remake that game, Nintendo? Where are you at? Where are you at?
I wouldn't be surprised if it's coming. I mean,
you could do a 3D Mario collection and redo that in the two galaxies or something like that in Sunshine and just do.
I would buy that so many times. I bought it 4 times. I would just buy.
They have the All-Star collection, right? That has that Sunshine and Galaxy on it. So
yeah, that's right. It was on GameCube or
Switch.
Wii.
It's on the Switch.
It was on the Switch. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I think they also had it on. There was some kind of All-Star collection on the Wii.
I want it to look
I
like
do want
Odyssey.
I love that. I didn't know that, but I do want it remade from the ground up.
On Odyssey level. Yeah, for sure, Tim. 100%. And it's so cool that all these later 3D Mario games, most of that stuff you were just describing in 64, all of that is there now still. They literally just made this competent the lunging thing and triple jumping. It's it's just still there.
Even barely moving the analog stick in order to tiptoe. That was a brand new concept. I know now that's well, of course that's how characters move in games. Nintendo was introducing this stuff to kids like me who were what can you do with this analog stick? It blew my mind.
Exactly. The sensitivity of it.
I still remember when I first started the game up, running in circles around that opening pipe you pop out of. can I really run in a circle around this? Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
This world is 3D.
This is insane. Yeah, a lot of speaking of core memories, man, that's a major one. Anything else you're playing or that you've watched you want to highlight? We'll do the finish quick hits here.
No, I'm just again just so unbelievably excited for remake. That's gonna be really special, and I'm still just watching One Piece. I'm still in that arc that I mentioned the other day. This arc is really good, dude. Like I know some people just like to shit on long stretch animes that have the long stretches. But like this is like a super fun arc. I'm having a really good time because it feels like there's some really heavy stakes that's involving the Straw Hats. And it's still going, and it hasn't like let up at all, and it still has a mostly serious tone with the natural humor that they like to inject in there. I just personally feel like there's definitely moments in the previous arcs where it's been too much. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. So it's a fun time.
Did you watch Yu Yu Hakusho back in the day, Dan?
I never finished it all the way, but I've watched most of it. So yeah, I know they dropped the trailer.
Yeah, the trailer just dropped for the live action. It actually looked pretty good. I was pretty into
looks
it.
Cool. I haven't watched what's the Avatar one? I haven't watched the trailer for
the
that
Last
yet.
Airbender trailer.
Yeah.
My kids all were like, "That looks really good," but I was like, "Oh, you guys don't know the history of some of the live action attempts here, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes."
Yeah.
They seem to be impressed with it.
That's what I got.
For my quick hits, I wrapped up 2 major games this past week because the week before I had finished Spider-Man 2, and this week I finished Mario Wonder and Tears of the Kingdom. Nintendo just
nice.
It feels like 2017 all over again. They just knocked it out of the park with 2 incredible games in their major franchises. So talked about those a ton. We'll talk about those more in the future too. But I loved them. Loved both of them. I thought they both were like some of the best versions of those things without saying too much more about it. Really good. And if you play Tears of the Kingdom and you're kind of letting it float, I do recommend finishing it. It's very much worth it.
I know. I wanted to beat it before the end of the year, but like I did this with the Breath of the Wild, where like I took like a year off between the both halves of the game.
You went back to it,
and then I went back and played the last half. Yeah, but
totally.
Like, it's always in the cards.
It's better to play it when you're interested in playing it, as opposed to feeling obligated to finish.
And I purposely cut it.
You'll
I purposely cut it in half because I'm like, I want more of this game later. Like I don't, and thankfully, like it was busy enough of a year where kicking the can down the road didn't feel, like abandoning it.
I mean, that's what I did, right?
And same with Dan. Whenever both of you go back to it, you'll love
like
it.
4 years later, I was like, oh, I should finish this.
Oh, exactly.
I will say Mario Wonder is a much better experience for me personally, like single player. I did play several levels with my kids, and it's kind of fun, but mostly just a little frustrating. It's just kind of like, oh my gosh.
It's same with Sonic. Like I was saying with like my wife and I haven't even jumped back into Sonic yet. Like just because also there's just so many things to play. It's just those games like. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I think they do that just because it's like, allow, maybe your kids to join in on you, but it's just not, I don't know. I feel like they're not really properly built for that.
Yeah. They do some really good jobs of letting the characters who fall behind catch up. Like, it's not like they do it poorly. It's more of just kind of like, I like to go through those games quickly and I know exactly how I play it. And of course my kids just play it way differently than I do.
Right.
So, right. And as far as gaming goes as well, I was, after finishing those 3 major games, Spider-Man, Tears of the Kingdom, and Mario Wonder in the last week and a half, trying to figure out how do I want to use my time for the next 7 or 8 weeks before we evaluate the year. And ironically, I picked a game from 2020, so I'm still playing Cyberpunk 2077. I want to get to Phantom Liberty. It's funny, like at best, the way we do Game of the Year, at least at best, it'll be like, hey, this is our favorite DLC expansion or whatever you want to call it. Like that's just the dumb rules that for some reason I've set and I'm determined to stick with. Listen, in 2016, Blood and Wine would have won my Game of the Year. Like to me, it was a better experience than anything. And 2016 was a good year for games. It was a really good year, but that was my favorite. But because it was Witcher 3 DLC, technically,
it's very unfortunate. Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what I'm playing. And I'm really enjoying it. I watched the Challenger Final Mission docuseries. Was kind of reminded of how freaking sad that whole thing was. I didn't realize how avoidable it was if they weren't on such a tight schedule they had to hit in order to continue to get funding from Congress. It's a tragedy. I didn't realize how tragic it was. I thought it was just kind of like, oh man, their technology was just kind of
I didn't realize they just reuse those things until they explode.
Yeah.
They just
Well,
reuse the shuttles over
it was
and
all
over and
about
over and over
shuttles,
and
these,
over.
it was
Yeah.
all about
Yeah,
these O
yeah.
ring seals that everyone was flagging, and they were like, they're gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine.
It's gonna be
And they
fine,
weren't.
guys. Yeah,
Cool.
and they weren't. Yeah.
Uh,
Spoilers.
And then also watching
Spoil-
the Depp versus Heard docuseries, which is hilarious.
Oh, for God's
because-
sakes.
Wow, yeah.
For God's sakes.
Greatest hits.
I'm glad one of us is enduring that because it just sounds like a clip show to me. I didn't know.
It
if there
is
was
a
anything
clip
else.
show. It's
Oh,
nothing,
okay.
It's not great. It's just fun to see
It's
them
not.
side by side, where because you'll see like what he says about the incident, what she says, and then any real footage or news clippings or whatever.
Uh-huh.
They just do a good job of like matching them up together. But it's
I
a fun
see.
one to have on in the background, just because boy, that was some fun drama to numb on last year.
That was my
It
favorite
was-
show of last year.
That was my
It
favorite.
was something.
It was something. All right, Kyle, what about you? Any other quick hits, games or movies or TV shows? Outside stuff.
I beat Metal Gear Solid 3, ending my Metal Gear Solid nostalgia run. It was
One of the best final encounters.
No, it was fine. It was fine with lowercase.
It was,
letters,
yeah,
so.
it's okay. It's okay.
No, man, this game is it's probably the best in the whole series.
Best boss fights, you think, in that game?
Dude, the
Yeah.
boss fights.
I think they're pretty
Boss
good.
fights are
Yeah.
so good.
Well,
They're
I mean, there's
usually
no
always good. You
there's
know?
no
Like, that's
fat man,
what's hard
Kyle.
about
There's
it.
no fat man.
Fat
but,
Man's
you know.
probably the greatest boss fight of all time, but whatever. It is. Yeah, I love 3. 3's great. I think I said it in chat. I was like, it makes sense to me now why they're making this one, because like it's so mechanic heavy, whereas like 2 and 3 it's like you just kind of sneak and shoot, like this there's like camo index and you're eating and you're healing yourself by like picking out bullets with knives and stuff like that and closing up and suturing stuff. It's just like it's very involved, it's very mechanics heavy. So bringing that to the new age and adding a crouch walk would really send this game into the to today. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was awesome. It's got like the best ending in the entire series too. And that game just like, I don't know, it's always going to be special to me. Like where I think I was in senior high and like, I was just skipping school and like playing this. Like, it was just like, just remember like, and I don't do that for any games. Like it was one that like, I just kind of cut out early when I heard GameStop had them and they were selling them. And I just like went and grabbed my copy and went home and started playing it, beat it a couple days later, so.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man. I really like Metal Gear
Such
Solid
a good
3.
game.
It's awesome, man. I have TV wise, I caught up on Invincible. Nobody here suggested this show.
Nope. That was
I
just
found
you.
this.
You alone.
I dropped the ball on that. Yeah.
I found this show, and you all should watch it. Jeff, I think you would like it. No, I watched it. At
I will
Jeff's
not
request,
give you credit.
And everybody on Earth says this show was great, and like I was really resistant. I was just like, yeah, okay, it's gonna be, and then like for most of the first episode, I was like, yeah, it's a good superhero show, okay. And then like some big stuff happens at the end of the first episode, and then like the show just like has just a really great pacing, a great like fun world building. Takes a lot of ingredients that you might know and remixes them in a way that makes them feel fresh and unique, and it's just fun. It's super fun. And what like everybody on Earth is on this show.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Everybody who's ever been famous ever is voicing
insane.
somebody in this show.
Sure.
It's totally insane. It's very, very good. I like it a lot. And I'm totally caught up, and I'm in season 2
you're
right
watching
now.
week to week now. Like
Yeah, I am. I'm watching week to week now. And this isn't a spoiler because it was in the previews, but like and we're doing multiverse stuff because it's a superhero show. So we have to do multiverse stuff. Yeah, we have to do it, guys. It's an unwritten rule.
It's in the rules.
Someone wears capes, thus I must meet another version of myself. That is the rules. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far though. So that's been great. And movie wise, I watched The Killer, which Jeff saw a few weeks ago in theaters. It's the new David Fincher movie with Michael Fassbender. Yeah, it's great. It's super good. I thought it was super excellent. Definitely one of my favorite movies of the year. And it's on Netflix. You can watch it super easy. And it's about 2 hours. It's really, really, really gripping. Like,
man.
He self-narrates everything that he goes through. He's got rules, and he's got like, he's narrating kind of his process. There's an inner monologue going on throughout the entire movie, and it's just awesome. And Fassbender kills it, man. The guy just like,
I guess he's
that guy's like one of the best actors working,
He's
man.
okay.
Yeah. It's so wild to me. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, that's super good too. So those are
the first thing I saw him in was Band of Brothers. I'm pretty sure he's in that in a very small.
Oh, interesting.
Another show that everyone was in.
Yeah,
literally everybody was in that show.
Between Saving Private Ryan and Band of Brothers, every male actor was in one of those, if not both.
Right. All the people we covet today came
everybody.
from those
Even
World War
Vin
II
Diesel
shows.
was in there. Everyone was
I know.
Oh my God,
everybody was there.
I gotta
He got
go back
killed
to
over
my
family.
Yeah.
You look
he got
like
killed
my
over
niece.
family. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he got shot. Yeah.
We're not a platoon. We're a family.
I like to think that he told Steven Spielberg, he was like, "Hey, I just like to kind of ad lib a little line as he's dying." He goes, "Family."
Get this letter back to my family.
And Steven's like, "We're gonna cut that. We got to cut the film."
Yeah,
We're
cut
gonna.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff out there right now. So.
Jeff, what
Killer,
about you? What are
please,
some?
for the love of God, please go watch The Killer. It's so freaking good. Oh my
It's
God.
excellent. Yeah.
There's a
chapter
fight. Called
there's a
Brute that is just
fight
unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that one. That's just like it's so excellent. It's one of the most kinetic fights I've ever seen, like on film.
Yeah, and
like,
I didn't know
just,
David Fincher could do that. I really
every
didn't.
Hit it just felt.
It
I
hurt.
don't know.
It hurt. It hurt to watch.
Just,
like
every punch, every missed hit. Like there's just an energy and a weightiness to the whole
This
entire
movie
scene.
will injure you. Go see it.
By the way, I love how
It'll
because he's on
the
a
movie will
revenge.
attack you.
It's a revenge story ultimately, and but he's hunting very specific people. So you're kind of like he doesn't narrate the exact thing that he's doing in the moment sometimes, like especially as he's established his revenge path. So you're kind of wondering, what the hell is he buying all this stuff for? You're kind of wondering, what's he going to do with that? Why is he buying like cough medicine and like, why is he buying, these bottles of vodka and stuff? And then he likes his plant, like he trashed or whatever. It was like trash bins and stuff like that. And, markers and like little stickers. And when you start to see him use all the items and it comes together and you see his plan come out, like it's just the way he executes it. It's clear that he's skilled.
Yeah.
I love stuff like that.
It's the best Hitman movie ever, for sure.
What do they call that? It's like it's like people that are good at their jobs. What do you call whatever.
Professionals?
No. No, I'm trying to think of
there's actually
competence. It's competence porn. That's what it is. So you're watching somebody who's really, really good at their job.
Yeah.
And it's like so satisfying to watch what they do.
That's a category,
even if it's like brutal. But that's what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
Great. All right, Jeff,
and Tilda Swinton's in it, and she's great. So
she's got a great exchange with him. It's so great.
Jeff, what else for you for watching and playing outside of? We'll talk about the Marvels in a second. Outside of that.
Sure. I finished the Blue Eye Samurai show, which is easily one of the best shows of the year. And then I found out a detail that the fight choreography was actually done in person in real life by somebody the guy who choreographed all the Extraction 2 stuff. So he did all the fight choreography for the show. And then they just animated it based on his choreography.
Oh, wow.
And it shows like the fights were so slick that I was like, this feels real. Like there's no way they didn't do it, and sure enough, they did it. And knowing that detail just made me love it.
Did they film and then like animate right over it, or
no? I don't think they did it right over.
I think they mo-capped.
Yeah, but there's a featurette where they did film him doing the choreography.
Right. Okay.
And then they showed those moves in the cartoon, so I think they just watched him do it and animated it.
That's what Disney used to do for like Alice in Wonderland and stuff like that. They would film like a real actress doing movements.
He was not wearing mocap stuff to answer that question.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Old school way of doing it, though.
That show is just easily one of the best of the year.
Yeah, it's one of the best I've seen in a long time. Period.
Yeah,
seriously. Hard period.
From Netflix, no less too. I'm like, where the hell have you been?
Right.
I had this for so long, and you're raising the price, and now I'm like, okay, now it's worth the price, maybe a little bit.
Okay.
You keep on putting stuff out like this, I'm in.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't worry, they're gonna cancel all of this next year, so it's fine.
This show is not getting a season 2.
No, it's too good. Sure. It's way too good, and it looks expensive.
It's cancel worthy for Netflix.
The other things I watched a Sly documentary, the Sylvester Stallone documentary called Sly.
I have that on my watch list.
Which is not how you abbreviate Sylvester, by the way. Wouldn't that be Syl? Okay, whatever. Anyway,
he doesn't know how to spell his own name,
but it's not even the worst nickname. Shortener. Yeah.
Adrian. Yeah. It's that for 2 hours. But no, for real, it gave me. I appreciate his perspective because, like, this is a guy that was writing stories about alpha males, quote unquote, in the 70s, late 70s, and portraying them in a way that weren't really, they just weren't being shown in that light in movies and TV and stuff. Like he was giving these guys. I'm not talking about his like the Rambo sequels. I'm not talking about some of the Rocky sequels. I just mean like.
But Rocky 1.
Yeah, Rocky 1. He's like
Yeah.
going through some stuff with like emotionally speaking with his coach or whatever, and he's like, "You're not there for me," and blah blah blah. He's getting emotional. And Sylvester was talking about how he was thinking about his dad when he was writing that stuff and acting about it because he has a bad relationship with his dad, and he's like, "You're not there for me," and blah blah blah. And I'm like, see, this guy is like kind of like, it's just interesting that nobody was.
Did you
really
know he has one of the highest IQs in Hollywood?
No, I didn't know that at all. That's crazy.
I heard that being talked about on some podcast once. That his IQ is very high. Yes,
I've seen him.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's just not all of his movies are kind of resonate that way, but it was his thought process in explaining why he injected that type of human drama into Rocky and the First Blood. First Blood is a great example.
Excellent.
He was like they wanted me to, like the studio wanted me to make it. The studio wanted me to make it a like a.
His
action.
voice doesn't help convey the IQ level.
But it's true. But they wanted him obviously be like on a rampage or just like to die at the end, and he's like, this is a movie about like veterans and like their PTSD and their trauma, and you want me to watch another one of them die on film? That feels wrong. So like he had this like big monologue that he wrote for him, and that movie's just so freaking great, dude. I highly recommend the first.
Dude, what you're doing right now with Rambo reminds me of Andy on Parks and Rec, where he's monologuing. Remember when it's the season 4? Leslie's running for
the connection
cable's
isn't
out.
working,
The cable's out.
He's entertaining them. Yeah.
Did he do the Rambo?
He's doing Rambo 4. He's describing scene by scene Rambo 4.
And he doesn't. He pulls the throat out of the guy's.
So it became the thing with those sequels, though. It became less and less of what made the first one so good about this guy dealing with his
of course
unspoken trauma, and it was more just like, I'm just gonna go be a badass, and it was just like not. I actually refuse to watch any of them because there's no way it's
Rambo
gonna measure
4
up to the ending.
Insane though, like that
is
movie's insane.
Okay.
Yeah, it's insane.
Anyway,
good, but
it was an enlightening documentary. Speaking of enlightening, I did watch the and I'm kind of surprised this enlightened me to any degree because I know a lot about this situation, but I watched the JFK One Day in America docuseries that just dropped on both Disney Plus and Hulu. It's a National Geographic docuseries. They did this for 9/11 last year, and it was literally just one day. Like, and here's the thing that people might forget about. An interesting perspective thing people might forget about JFK is like, so JFK gets shot. Maybe 20 minutes later, Lee Harvey Oswald shoots another cop. He shoots a cop, kills a cop. 45 minutes later, he's found in a theater. They arrest him super fast. Like, that's a quick turnaround, even by today's standards. Like, who did this? There was like that whole manhunt in, where was that, Maine?
Yeah, in Maine, yeah.
Took several days to find his body, like a couple days. So like, it's just interesting that it was like, maybe it's because of how much of the population was surrounded in one area that it's like he couldn't have gone far, and the fact that he shot a cop and like killed a cop.
Sure.
And then he went to the Texas Theater, which I've been at. It's awesome. And he got arrested there, and then like 2 days later, he gets assassinated by Jack Ruby. So this all happened in the course of a couple days.
Well, we saw Umbrella Academy. We know why this all happened. You saw Umbrella Academy, right?
Oh yeah, of course. It's all what's his name's fault? Five,
right?
Yeah. But it was
actually one on the knoll, the grassy
pretty enlightening, and they interviewed all of the the remaining people that were there the day of, and one of them was like the Secret Service detail for Jackie Kennedy, obviously. And it's obviously he's like super old now, but it's just his recollection. He still gets choked up and stuff like that, recounting how she dealt with it in the public eye. And the movie Jackie with Natalie Portman illustrates it really well. How like behind the scenes she was a mess, but because she knew how she was being viewed by the American public, she had to, keep wearing the coat that had all the blood on it.
And then Lyndon Johnson swearing in on the plane, stuff like that. Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, they had the audio. I think they had the audio of that because they had to capture it somewhere, I think. Yeah, I didn't expect to be enlightened on it because, like I said, I know a lot about that already. But it was cool. It's cool to watch that. 2 new animated shows I started watching. They're not new, like they just came out. But Pluto on Netflix. I watched the first episode. Did you watch any more of that, Tim?
Just the first episode. It's good.
It's a really good first episode. Yeah. I was very surprised. I like that the detective soundtrack is very like old school, like kind of jazzy, like
I almost got like a noir vibe from.
Yeah,
that.
it's like they're doing like a noir thing, but it's definitely like a Blade Runner type of plot where these beloved like sentient robots are dying, are getting assassinated, and so are some of their supporters. And I think more and more bodies start dropping as the season goes on. But you're just starting at base level. In the first episode, it's like 2 people have been, well, 1 robot and 1 person, 1 supporter has been killed. But the way that they've been killed mirrors each other. So like the detective is starting to piece it together. And then the second half of the episode is about this pianist and this old blind pianist. Word. And I know pianist. You add a T and suddenly it's not vulgar. It's crazy.
Oh no, it's okay. All right.
Now it's okay. But he's like this blind guy who's like he's very much like an anti-AI person. And he gets a butler who he hired through his service that used to be in an AI war. When AI started getting sentient and actually broke their protocol and started killing humans, a war broke out, and humans just threw AI that were subservient to them at the war. So this guy used to fight in that war. This robot, whatever, used to fight in that war, and he's now a butler. So he's still dealing with that, and he wants to play piano too. And like the pianist is very like stubborn, like, no, I hate you. You're not real. All this stuff. It's a great story, dude. I can't believe that they laid all that out in the first episode. I did not expect that.
Yeah, it's a good
Pluto.
setup. But I'm more interested in watching the Blue Eye Samurai.
Dude, Blue Eye. Oof. Yeah, you're gonna love that.
Yeah. Well, with Pluto, it's a manga, so I remember like right when it hit Netflix, people were like, "Oh, like that's coming out." So I mean, people seemed insanely excited. So I'm guessing the manga is like really, really popular. So
yeah, I think it is. And there's like one that's tied to it that some people on Reddit were like, "Do you need to know this about the manga to watch the show?" And a lot of replies were like, "Nah." Like it's much like a Dragon Gaiden, where it's like, I mean, you're not going to recognize certain people, but it doesn't matter, you know. I can't remember the name of the other manga that's associated with it. Anyway, the other animated show I just started watching, and you can't really find it anywhere, so I kind of had to dig for it. Just leave it at that. It's called Pantheon. It was on AMC Plus, and then they dropped the ball with it because it's AMC Plus. Who has that? Nobody has that. But it is an animated show, very anime inspired, but it's a sci-fi show. And this is much like Invincible, where you look at the cast and you're like, who is not in this? And how did this not get promoted more? It's insane.
Because it's AMC Plus. Same people who have AMC Plus probably still have CNN Plus. You know what I mean? Like it's totally the same thing.
Like, why is this on AMC? Like,
it might not even be by choice. It might just be a bundle thing that comes with something else. Like, oh, I didn't realize I had that.
True.
But this one is about a girl whose father passed away from a terminal illness, and she believes he starts coming back to talk to her through a chat on her computer. And it's like it's not really like an app. It's like a DOS command prompt thing. And they're chatting just using emojis, which is interesting. But anyway, it's like she's having a hard time at high school because they all the animated, anime inspired shows do have a lead character that's having a hard time in high school. And so this is like the first thing that she's able to finally like connect with something on, is like this possibly dead father of mine is talking to me on a computer. So that's how it starts. And I think the sci-fi concept is that, just scratch the surface of it, it's kind of like what they did with Johnny Silverhand in Cyberpunk, taking your consciousness, your full consciousness, and putting it on somewhere on a hard drive or something like that. So like that's the technology at play here. Cool. So that's interesting, and it's gotten crazy good reviews. But again,
you said it's not on AMC Plus anymore.
Yeah, I think they removed it, and they premiered season 2 on Amazon only in other countries, not in the US. It's so dumb, dude. It's so dumb.
Heck.
My understanding though is season 2 is a finale. It's like the story,
so it's not super long. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's nice. You wrap it up in a couple seasons, you know.
Yeah. And what else did I want to mention? Scavenger's Reign, Kyle can attest well, actually, I don't know if you finished the final 3 episodes. Did you? Yeah. It wraps up swimmingly. It's amazing, dude. Like, I just love how when the series starts, this whole crew is just totally scattered on this planet, and how they're able to converge those storylines in the last 3 or 4 episodes is just unbelievable, dude. It's like
Yeah.
a
If only
weird.
this weren't on HBO, Discovery,
This is-
Max, whatever.
Yeah, another gonna get canceled show because it's on Max.
So canceled.
So canceled.
We're having talks about it right now. They're gonna
Yeah,
cancel it.
yeah. They're offloading that some bitch like next week. I guarantee it.
We gotta get a tax write-off for this one.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
is too good. Get it out of
Yeah,
here.
right.
It's
right,
almost the more I watched it, it was kind of like, oh, this is like a horror show in a way.
Yeah.
It's like a body
Mm.
horror show. It's
Oh, it's very.
it became
it's very,
way less
like,
about sci-fi and way more about like
It's
body
like
horror
if
stuff.
Akira, and it's because it's very Akira-y, like in the way that like
Yeah.
things
Okay.
mutate and like body dysmorphia
Sure,
stuff that
sure.
happens in Akira, especially towards the
Yeah.
end. You know, it is very Cronenberg-y to me. You know, with how
Yes,
much stuff happens to people's
Cronenberg.
body parts and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's a good show. Can't recommend it enough. I think Gaston is giving that a shot, and I know he's going to love it.
It's amazing. Yeah.
And I played the final wave of the booster course pass for Mario Kart.
Yeah.
8.
Mario
You
Kart.
did that.
Yeah.
I did not know when that dropped. I just saw that it was loaded, and I was like, oh,
It was like 2
Pretty sure
days
it was
ago,
this
I think.
week. Yeah, I think pretty sure.
oh, it was this
this
week. Okay, cool. I didn't realize that. But yeah, you actually do get credits at the end too, which is cool because it's like, yeah, this is like a 2-year-long journey, and I did it, guys. I did it.
Count it. Count it as a win. Count it as a
Counts.
beat.
Counts.
You beat that game.
I don't know
Put
if you
that
guys
as
knew
beat.
this, but that game sold a lot of copies.
Yeah. I think it might.
Yeah.
I think
Mario
it's
Kart,
doing-
Mario Kart Deluxe or Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I believe, is at 54 million units sold right now.
Holy
Sure.
Insane.
jeez.
Sure.
Insane.
That's insanity.
I wish I
That's
had more
insane.
to like. I wish I had more to say. It's the thing with these booster course passes is like it's a lot of it are familiar tracks remade, and some of the laps are
The
very
tracks
different.
are fun, and there's new characters.
It's just very fun.
They
There's new
look good.
characters. It looks good. Rainbow Road at the end is very fun. It's just great. It's a great thing to buy if you want more Mario Kart stuff.
Well, and a lot of people already probably have access to it and don't realize it. So just go see if you've already got
exactly.
expansion
Like I didn't
pass
realize
plus
it installed, and I was
Mario
like,
Kart
oh,
Infinite.
Mario Kart Infinite.
yeah.
Infinite.
There's
Yeah,
there's some new stuff that we listed in TV and movies that I haven't touched on yet.
Yeah, let's
But-
jump into that. Unless you've got something else not new that you want to talk about.
I saw a New Japan Pro Wrestling show live, and that was fun.
Yeah, and you survived. That's good.
I lived.
You
It was New Japan comes here obviously because they're in Japan. They come here once a year, so it was really cool to be there for that. And I was there. They did American Airlines first. I think they sold a quarter of the tickets. They came here first, and that was like 2018, 2019. But it was like the crowd was so loud that you would not know it was not a sellout. And it was the same exact thing at the show last night. And also, I was seated next to somebody who was making jokes that I would make. So it wasn't somebody that was like, give a titty twister. Like, I can't stand those people so much. I hate them. They're just, it's so unoriginal. It's the equivalent of saying play Freebird at an open mic. It's so dumb. It's not funny. Bill Hicks has a great rant about people yelling play Freebird or whatever. Go watch that. It's great. He eviscerates an audience member for saying that. That's how I feel about it. But anyway, I was next to somebody who was like, a ref took a bump and it was like a bump where it was like a light shove, and he had to act like he died for 5 minutes.
Got it.
And the guy next to me goes, there's so much time for activities. And I was like, I've never heard
For activities.
I've never heard anybody refer to a pro wrestling match stuff as
That's
activities.
activities.
He was
Sure.
pretty drunk. Yeah, it was a good time.
That's fun. All right, well then let's talk about. There's a couple of new things. Of course, we had the final chapter of Attack on Titan hit the finale
Oh,
for
yeah.
Loki season 2
Yeah.
hit this past week. So I know that Kyle and Jeff both watched Attack on Titan, the final chapters. Isn't it
Yeah.
like the final chapter of the final chapters or whatever? Like
Yeah,
It is the
it's
final
part-
of the
It's the
final.
actual final.
It is
Final,
the
final.
real ending.
And now it's
part
not dubbed.
four,
and I
part 3 and
do-
4 of season 4. Shut up.
I forget what exact spot I am now paused because I've caught up on all of it. I watched through a bunch of it. It's wherever they didn't have the English dub anymore. And I don't mind doing the subtitles, but I've grown to really love and know all
The
the
dub is
English
so
dub
good.
voices.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
And so I'm kind of I just want that.
See, I'm
I get it.
I'm good there, so I'm gonna.
Not
Yeah,
too it's
I
not too far off, I think. So
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
it.
I have not even like actually finished season 4 because like
Oh.
I remember like when it aired and I was like, oh, are you kidding me? Like we're not actually done. So then I just like I stopped like a couple episodes in.
Yeah.
So I still need to. But you guys have finished it. You guys are actually
Yeah.
beyond me. Like you guys finished.
And
so.
and actually, if you have Hulu, they're on there and they're subbed. So
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
just watch them there. If you have one of the two, Funimation, Crunchyroll, doesn't matter.
It's
I know
on, it's
they
on
have,
everything.
I
It's
know
on
they
everything.
have part 1 dub for sure. They have part 1 of the final chapters,
Oh,
but part 2
okay.
obviously just aired in Japan and on Crunchyroll and whatever.
Yeah.
It's probably getting dubbed right now.
So the dub is probably going to be a few more weeks or maybe months away on that one, but doesn't matter. I just watched the sub because it was
Wanted to
just
see
so
what happened.
freaking good. Like,
Yeah, it was.
Now, Kyle,
excellent.
you did like a buddies night, right, to watch this one?
Yeah.
How'd that
Yeah, it
go?
was fun. Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah. But people were cheering. It was awesome.
Is it what you guys all wanted out of that?
Yeah, I mean, it looped, and I haven't read the manga, but like it folded back into how the manga ended, so I think a lot of people were happy about that. I don't know that for sure either, because again, I haven't read the manga. It's just what I've heard online. I thought the ending was very satisfying. I thought things got really high concept towards the end of the show, like the last few arcs have been, a few episodes or whatever have been really like high concept and crazy, and a lot of lore, a lot of world building, a lot of things to keep up with, a lot of history to keep up with, and they start introducing the idea of like time not flowing the way that we think it is and everything like that for certain characters. So it's just like it's a lot, So
as soon as they
so
start covering a mirror, it's like there's some magical crap.
Yeah,
going
like
on
you
here.
might as well be watching like the smartest sci-fi movie ever when they're talking about Ymir. You're like, maybe watch it a couple times.
Hey guys, is it cerebral?
We're not allowed to use that word, Tim.
Okay.
I don't know. Attack on
brainy.
Titan is pretty cerebral.
It's a very
Yes.
it's a very
Very
highbrow
screamy.
show.
A lot of screaming happening.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
there's a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
giant naked things eating people. So yeah, there's a lot of screaming.
I would be screaming too. Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, this one covers a pretty big battle at the end. There's some really big moments that happen that I was like, what are we even fighting for anymore now? Like it does. What does anything matter now?
Dude, I
in
love
like a good way, in a nihilistic good way.
Yeah, but I love the things with the message that like war is futile and there's like no point. What was like one of the most famous movies to have that message like at the end where it was like everybody died and it was miserable. The end.
Yeah.
All Quiet on the Western Front.
Oh, what? Yeah.
Because at the end they're like everybody dies and it sucks.
Yeah, and war sucks and
then
it's cyclical
war
and we're
ended.
never gonna escape
Yeah.
it.
But thanks for
that's all
watching.
fun.
Yeah, but I love that type of message because it's like, I mean, that's we
kind
never
of
learn
the
it.
tone
We never
of
learn
the
it.
whole thing. That's been the tone of the
it
whole
never
thing.
deviates away from what the show is about, and it's about like, guys, why are we killing each other? Or why are we doing this? What is this all for? Like. So it's good. It's good stuff. I really, really liked it. There's a lot to chew on the credits. I'll have to talk to Jeff off screen because there's a lot of stuff that like the credits like convey that like are very interesting that people.
I was surprised they
on.
crammed that much into the credits rolling. But
It's one of the greatest end credits.
It was very
of all
profound
time.
end credits. Yeah, it was
it's
very
super profound.
Yeah.
Yeah, super good. I liked it a lot.
Cerebral.
End of an
Very
era. It's cerebral.
an
End of an
eyebrow.
era though. 10 years of this show, and it's
Wow.
like it's
Yeah.
one of the all-time greats. So it's like it's one of
it's-
those things where like it was a mic drop, and like the creator was absolutely like,
Yeah.
good luck, anime.
Good luck,
That's what it
all
felt
shows.
like.
But it was such an up and down roller coaster though, because the first season dropped right when it finished and everything. Like you said, it was like a crater in the freaking earth. But then like it took a while to get to season 2, and then
it was a
season
long
2, in my opinion, anyways, is the weakest one.
It is.
So then it's like you finally
And
get
it's the
season
shortest too, right? So it was like there was
I think
less.
it is. Yeah.
It was
so?
it was
Yeah.
more lore driven and like here's who these famous, like not famous, here's who these political figures are, and it was like
Yeah.
more lore driven.
Yeah.
A lot less happens, and
Which like
13
all that stuff
episodes.
is so important for
It's
later.
so important for later, but like
But
yeah,
then season 3 went back up because then like you
Oh,
get some
yes.
really big revelations in 3.
Yeah.
Basement, huh?
Basement?
Huh?
Yeah.
Basement.
Basement.
For sure.
So like season 3,
Basement, I
then
don't
it's
even
like
know
you
her.
go right. Yeah. So yeah, and then whatever happens in season 4,
Yeah.
So it's such like a up and down, but not like up and down like
It's up and
bad,
down, and
like,
boy, my
yeah.
arm's tired. Yeah. There
yeah,
you go.
but
But yeah,
No,
that's-
you're
it's-
right though. No, there is a nice and like taking so much time off between seasons, like it just became this era of entertainment that people who don't even like anime got into the show. You know what I mean? Like,
Hey, how you doing?
it's
My name's Jeff.
extremely
Yeah.
mainstream in a way that's not offensive, if that makes
Right.
any
Yeah.
sense. So,
Right. Yeah, I'm able to talk to like I feel like everybody, like because I have a AOT shirt, and I get people like that will come up to me at open mics. Like I don't expect them to watch anime, nor do I know that about them. And they're like, "Oh, I love that show." Like they're just
Yeah.
like, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"You watch that?" You're like,
Yeah.
"What?" So yeah, it's
there's
a
a
universal
moment
show.
in which I think is season 4. But anyway, they expand the world in some really cool ways
Yes,
that I was just like,
Yeah.
all right, I really like. I already liked it, but I really like what they're doing here. So,
So much
Yeah, I
expanding in
remember
season
like
4.
my jaw being on the floor for the entirety of season 4. I'm like,
Season
I
4
can't
was
believe this.
so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, because the end of season 3 is like things aren't as small as you think they are.
Correct.
Yeah.
You
And
get
And
they-
season 4 is let's explain it to you.
That's,
Yes,
yeah, they get
yeah,
things get
yeah.
very big in season 4. Yeah.
And I think it was Kyle who had said like it's gonna take a few episodes for you to be like, did I miss? Was there a season 3.5 that I missed in here?
Yeah. Did I
And
miss an
no,
OVA or
You
something?
just-
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And then also Loki season 2 wrapped up. What are the kind of overall thoughts on this one? Sounds like it's one of the better Marvel things that's happened recently.
It
Matt?
might be my favorite Marvel thing ever.
Wow.
Over all the movies and everything.
Maybe like Endgame's pretty hard to like match, but like this was so like up my alley in a like, oh, we've been saying this word a lot today, but cerebral high concept, type of way. God damn it!
It's just the name of the episode.
Hey
Cerebral.
Dan, just have a picture of the thinking man. as a-
Sure.
I'm
gonna
by the way,
I'm gonna Google cerebral.
How much we've used this word tonight.
It'll
but,
help that the thing that we're about to talk about after this is not cerebral at all. So that'll
Yeah,
certainly
that's
ease the
true.
pretentious
Yes.
load, I guess.
Yeah. No, but it's really smart and very. And there's some really amazing shots at the end of this show. There's some great revelations. Things like I think it cements Loki as like the best character in all of MCU
Oh,
if he
dude.
wasn't already. Like,
Easily.
like it's just
Easily.
he's so awesome.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of Groundhog Daisy stuff going on in this episode. There's just like
Yeah.
it was just an excellent finale. It possibly like series finale.
So Bill Murray in the MCU confirmed. Got it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
he was already in
A
it.
groundhog does
That's
drive
true.
a
He
car.
was already in that. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
We don't talk about that.
And everyone's
Yeah, we don't
favorite Quantumania, right?
Yeah. We all love that version of Kang.
we all
thought
love
he was
that
OP.
movie, yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody universally. Yeah, I thought it was absolutely amazing, and it's definitely my favorite TV show now. Which I think it probably was Moon Knight before, and now it's probably this. Like it's just I think like this Moon Knight and like WandaVision are like leagues above all the other TV that Marvel's doing.
WandaVision
Shame it
still
hasn't all
tops
been
for
that
me,
close.
but- Yeah, for me,
Yeah,
I feel like
yeah.
WandaVision at the top, and I did like Loki season 1 quite a bit, so I'm looking forward to seeing season 2.
Well,
Dude, I am
season 2 was like before Loki season 2 came out. My favorite Marvel show was Loki season 1. So
Yeah, that's fair.
par for the course for me. I was still like, oh, this is still my favorite show.
Tom Hiddleston,
But
man.
It drives it home even more in like such a powerful way in the finale, especially like in how he wasn't lying when he did. Now the actors can finally do press. The strike is over. Yay. He wasn't lying when he said in the interview with, I think it was Fallon, where he was like, this Loki story is coming full circle now. Everything is coming full circle. Like, dude, I mean, chills. I'm getting chills thinking about the stuff that was paid off in the finale.
I'm
Boy,
so glad that he did
acts
not
his
get the
ass
role of
off, too.
Thor that he had originally
No
auditioned for.
kidding.
I am so
Yeah.
glad that he's He's the perfect
I'm sure he's
Loki.
glad too on some level because he's like, I don't have to do that freaking crazy workout routine.
That
Yeah.
plus
Yeah.
Loki is by far like such a more interesting character. Like
Yeah.
top
He is
to bottom.
like he absolutely the most like in-depth character by the time this is all
And
said and
it's
done.
so funny that
That's
this
awesome.
is like one of the most, probably the most profound thing Marvel has ever done. Like,
Yeah,
you're going to be thinking about it for a long time after you finish it, and
It's
maybe
so
even
high
when we
concept
started,
and
'cause there's
cerebral,
so much in
guys.
there, so much high concept,
So
pretentious
cerebral.
stuff that no simpleton will ever understand.
People gotta grow up.
you
They
get
gotta
so
grow
much
up.
spaghettification in this. There's so
Yeah.
much
Oh.
spaghettification.
Good.
Yeah,
Thank you
it's-
for
and
saying
it's
that.
So
looks
if you like
so
if you like
good.
black
It looks so
holes
good.
spaghettifying things,
Yeah.
boy,
Say-
are you in for
Say
I
a
have good news for you.
spaghettify.
No,
Yeah,
I just like
it's a term,
verbalizing
yeah.
words that aren't
Huh.
usually verbs. I think that's good.
Yeah, I know that's.
Um,
I think
theoretical physicists, Dan, say that if you go through a black hole that you spaghettify, like every fiber of your being peels away like
and it's
spaghetti.
so
you know?
funny
Wow.
that NASA
Sounds
scientists or
excruciating.
whoever, astrophysicists, are the ones that were like, spaghettify's good, right? We can just say
I
spaghetti.
know, yeah. That seems like a
Verb here.
4chan, that seems like a 4chan, like.
He just
title
called
or
one guy
something.
from over. Hey, Charlie, come look at this. Does this look all right? Yeah.
So when you go through,
I
so
like
when you
it.
go through a black hole, is it like don't be upsetty, just be some spaghetti. Like I don't.
That's right.
That's exactly what it
Pretty
is.
much.
That's exactly
Yeah,
what it
A
is.
sign that's right above a black hole every time.
It's the,
Or
it's the most
astronauts do it.
theoretical thing in the entire world because we've never tested it. But and people
Yeah.
are just like, yeah, use spaghetti
Sure.
pie, whatever.
Sure.
Because there's no way to test
Okay.
it. Yeah, exactly.
I'll buy into it, but I know
the unknowable.
it's not real.
Yeah, I just I can't wait to watch this when I'm able to carve out time. Jeez, you guys heard all the stuff I'm watching. I do want to watch this thing all the way through again. I actually kind of want to see Loki's arc from, because he gets knocked out. The timeline wise is the first Avengers movie. He gets knocked into this other timeline, and becomes a variant. So I kind of want to watch the whole arc again because they pay off things that I didn't expect them to ever reference again.
Mm.
Like it's really
Yeah, he's
powerful.
been Loki for a good 13 years now.
A while,
Yeah. He was like, I was 29 when I got cast, and I'm like 42 now, and I'm like,
What is time, bro?
That's wild.
it's not fair.
That's awesome.
It's kind of like a bummer and ridiculous that, I mean, from how you guys are describing it, seems like it's obviously pretty high quality. Like, why didn't they just do this with all these shows? Like,
I know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know
Like-
why they can't replicate like a WandaVision
quality,
or Loki like quality show again. Like it just
It's
And
it's
interesting.
bizarre to me, you know.
Kyle and I talked about it when I finished the finale. I was kind of messaging him in real time because I was at the the movie we're about to talk about. So I came and watched the episode late. And in real time, I was just like, we're getting this arc. Oh my God. Like I was just like kind of losing it over all the stuff we were seeing. But the guys that were directing, leading the vision for these two seasons were the directors of Moon Knight. And
Right.
I'm kind of like, why not just give them all the things? And they are doing Daredevil too. So I mean, I think Marvel's learning the lesson now of
let
like,
these
to me,
guys
it's
show,
like-
let these guys do all the stuff.
let
when you
these guys
have
show
something-
run. Yeah, all
When
the
you have
shows.
something like Marvel, it's like having, like, you ever seen those cooking shows where they have these incredible kitchens that are stocked with the best ingredients that you could ever
Yeah.
want? Like, that's kind of what you have, but you have to be a good chef to put it all together and actually make it work. So, like,
right.
to me, it totally makes sense that some movies and some shows don't click. Like, they're not the right chef for that dish. It's just
Yeah.
not working. Get them
Right.
out of there. So,
Good way to
like,
put it.
I don't know. Sometimes it's the right chef and the right ingredients, and it just
Well,
clicks, man. I love-
Kevin Feige there, or whatever his name is, for
Close
a
enough.
while there, he was
Siege.
keeping everything together pretty all right. Those first three phases overall, was
Yeah,
good.
that's because the story was pretty clear cut from.
Yeah.
I want to say First Avenger when it was like, oh, we got a cube in here. That's an Infinity Stone. Oh, it's Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah.
Like,
But-
we had a
They
direction.
were
pretty
teasing
early.
Thanos in like post-credit scenes for a while. weren't
Yeah,
they? Like,
whereas
they would have his
Kang
throne
kind
or
of feels like we're already in the multiverse shift, and it kind of feels like Kang is like a little bit of an afterthought, just in the way that it was presented to at least
It's
Comic
just
Con
so
people.
weird. Like, why don't they have the whole with the strings all like just make
Yeah.
ahead of time, get that figured out.
I feel like Loki has the best grasp on all of it, and it's like its own contained thing.
Yeah.
Or that's what it feels like, at least. I'm sure it could come back in Secret Wars for one reason or another. So it's interesting. Like, it's
I don't know.
woo!
It just seems weird
the
that
imagery
they've
in this finale is just next level.
Out of
It's
this world,
metal.
yeah.
It's like a metal
And-
album cover. In that
Well,
finale.
and it's just like,
Oh.
why does this look so good? But like,
I
they
just
still
got out
are
of a movie that
sieging
just
Black
came out.
Panther's costume
Yeah.
on in Black Panther 2, you know?
Yeah,
Like, why? I don't understand, like,
I don't
why
get
it
it
looks
either.
so good in this show, and like, there are movies that look like garbage, you know?
there are
like,
movies
it
that look
looks,
like
you know,
TV movies budget.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
yeah.
it's
I'm
annoying.
I'm glad it looked good, you know? I just
Yeah, me too.
just do that, you know?
Hey,
Do more of that. Do more of that. Hey, speaking of something to do more of, the Marvels movie. We want more of those, right?
Good
So,
segue. Good
Jeff,
segue.
I told you that you have 45 seconds to talk about this, and then you just said after seeing it, I think 40 is probably enough. So,
Wow. Ouch. Ouch.
but for real, what are your thoughts on the Marvels movie? And then we're
That
gonna
hurts.
rush through some headlines here to wrap up.
Cool. Well, it was fine. I kind of liked Quantumania a little more, and I didn't even like that movie all that much. So, but it's one of those movies that, in retrospect, I'm like, I don't really think that fondly of Quantumania, do I? And I don't. I think it's okay. I think that Iman Vellani, I don't know if I'm saying her name right. She plays Miss Marvel. I think her casting is just sublime. Like, she has lines in this movie that anybody else delivering them you would cringe during. Like, it's just like, oh God, who wrote that? But her delivery of them, it sounds just so natural and stupid and awkward in all the right ways. Like, so I enjoyed her casting. I enjoyed some of the dynamic between the three main girls and heroes and stuff, but for the most part, it was kind of like I feel like I knew Miss Marvel's personality the most out of all of them because of her show and how comic book influenced that show is, quite literally. Like there's panels and stuff in that show. Like I feel like I knew her the most, whereas Captain Marvel was just like people harp on Brie Larson for not showing personality and stuff like that, but it's like really it's her character's written that way. She's just acting like her character. Her character's written to be like a hardened soldier that had Kree technology rewire her brain, and she can't feel things the same way other people do. Right. So it's not her fault that she's pretty much a wet rag and kind of boring. And then the other person who went through some stuff in Monica Rambeau, she went through some stuff in WandaVision. She's fine too. But I'm still like, where are your quirks? Like I feel like there's just not enough there outside of her tragic experience during the blip. What else is there to you? Where I just feel like Miss Marvel has the most things going for her, interestingly enough. Because I know her show isn't like the most popular, but I just feel like at least her character is well written in this movie. I thought some of the action was really cool, where they have to like teleport and switch places. Whenever they use their powers, they teleport and switch places. So there's some really fun moments, clever action sequences where they like use a power and switch places, and then some like their ability is kind of getting thrown somewhere else, like whatever they do. So that stuff is fun. The story's fine. They did I feel like the director or whoever edited whatever did what they could with what they had. Like that's really how I feel about it.
It's interesting. Actually, right before the movie came out, the director literally referenced
she sounds
Final
like
Fantasy
she hates the movie.
VII Advent Children.
Wow.
She referenced that, and
I saw that interview, Dan. She talked about Zelda and Final Fantasy VII. Like she's a gamer, which I was like, all right, I like her.
When she did
the Candyman sequel that Kyle and I like from like a couple of years ago or last year. She's a great director, movie. And she did the Jonathan Majors show on HBO, Lovecraft Country, I think.
Oh, it's such a good show.
Yeah. So she's really talented. It's just like you can tell that she was pushed aside at some point when Feige was like not satisfied with his own vision, which he kept changing on a dime because there's no actual direction going on right now, it feels like, in the movies. But so that's a big bummer. But and I'm sure people will find the fun. There are some big swings in this involving like singing and dancing sequences and a bunch of cats that I feel like will fall flat for some people, or they'll just go, this is so dumb, I can't get with it. Or you'll be like, that's the most unique thing I've seen in a Marvel movie, and that's why I like it. So for me, it was like a swing and a miss. But for other people, they're going to really like it. And also they have that moment where they're like, we need battle suits. Can you guys help us find something? And then when they come out, it looks like TV movie costumes. They look so bad. That's just my take. Some people will like how they look. But it was like so cringe for me. I was like, oh, that's it? Okay. Well, maybe you should go try on some other outfits, I guess. That's
Spirit of Halloween costume.
Oh, and the post-credit scene's incredibly badass. I liked it so much. It was they're clearly leading into other territories coming in immediate MCU movies.
When a really good movie has a cringe scene, you can kind of like forgive it. Like an Endgame had a couple of moments, one specifically where it's like, here's all the girls are here to play. Like,
yeah,
all right,
yeah.
The girls are here to play.
But that movie
happens in Dark Knight Rises, like.
Dark Knight Rises has some cringy moments.
With that girl that dies, what's her name? Talia. Yeah. And I forgive it because the movie's just so badass.
Exactly.
Like I'm just like,
I need to look up that scene because I don't remember it.
It's bad.
It's
but
awful.
It's a bad death. It's one of the worst death scenes. But when a mediocre movie has cringy moments, they stand out a lot more. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, so when an excellent movie has them, you kind of like, all right, I'll forgive it because everything else you're doing is so freaking amazing. I
just wish that there was a better movie around all the lore they chose to dump, because the technology that they explore is all of remember the jump holes, space jump holes in Guardians movies?
Yeah.
This movie's all about that. This movie's all about that technology and where it came from, but the movie itself is like not good, not that great. So it's like, damn, man, I wish it was just in better packaging. That's all. There's so much lore. So disappointing.
Yeah, you hate women. I get it. All right. You're the only one of us who went to see it, and I'm throwing it at you for some reason. Anyway. Okay.
You, dude. No, that's you.
Let's fly through some headlines real quick. Then we're gonna wrap this episode up, and then we are actually going to right away record a spoiler cast that we'll post as a separate bonus episode, both on YouTube and on our podcast feed. But let's go through some headlines here. There's a new head for Xbox Game Studios, and that is Alan Hartman, who was the lead at Turn 10 Studios. So he'll be overseeing Xbox Game Studios, which I believe wasn't that Phil Spencer's role before his current role? Wasn't he the head of Xbox Game Studios for a while there? So there you go. That'll be happening.
Good for him.
At some point. Matt Booty. Oh, he was. Oh, okay. So he was the old one, and he has now been promoted.
He's the old booty. We got new booty.
Every time I type his name, I put LOL or something.
Kick out the old booty.
Yeah.
Sony has confirmed that it has delayed half of its 12 planned live service games. So I don't know if you guys remember this, but they talked about.
I thought it was canceled straight up.
Wanting to, so it's delayed at least. So they have 6 that they were going to put out 12 by March 2026.
Oh,
that
I
was
see.
kind of their original plan they had put out.
Okay.
Now they've said, we're going to deliver on 6 of those. And the other ones were.
You could deliver on none of them, and I'd be fine.
I know, man. I know,
yeah,
but
I would actually prefer that.
These do include the Last of Us online game that we've heard lots of rumblings about that.
That went all right. I heard that's going
a fake game.
It's going great.
It's cooking in the oven.
Yeah. There's a Horizon online game apparently also being worked on, and then an original IP from their London studio. Those are the ones that we know.
I remember hearing about the Horizon one, and I was like, that sounds interesting. I much prefer that over like Naughty Dog continuing to recycle ideas from.
They should do a pirate one and call it Skull and Bones. Probably really good.
I don't know. It'll never come out though if they do.
Yeah, it'll be great. It'll be great. All right. Listen, I don't want Sony to do live service titles. I don't. But there's another piece of news later that's about live service stuff that I'm like.
I was livid when I read that. By the way,
annoying that this is
livid.
happening.
I was like, of course.
Anyway,
this guy.
Let's
fucking
talk,
guy. Sorry.
Actually, let's talk about that now. We'll finish on positive stuff. So this is about the WB. The Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav has said the company is focused on turning its biggest gaming franchises into live service games. And this is a quote from him. Okay. Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, DC, which is mainly Batman today, and Mortal Kombat. He sees each of those as individual billion-dollar gaming franchises into service games. Here's his quote. Ultimately, we want to drive engagement and monetization of longer cycles at higher levels. We have specific capabilities. We are currently under scale and see significant opportunity to generate greater post-purchase revenue. That's him saying, I want to nickel and dime all of these dumb fans for as long as I possibly can.
Yeah, he's using business speak to make it sound like he's smarter than he is, and we're too dumb to understand.
This is within a year where they're one of the best-selling games outside of like insane Nintendo numbers or Call of Duty is a WB game, a single-player Harry Potter game. Yeah, it's one of the best-selling games of the year, but still
there's not a live service aspect to it, like at all. Not even a little bit.
He's like, nah, we need to make more money on these because this isn't enough.
That's all they ever think,
This dude specifically, his drive to maximize profits is totally going to be his downfall. Like he's digging his own grave at this point.
He sounds like someone who's not actually a fan of any of these things. He just wants to make money off of them.
Oh yeah, of course. Well,
I mean that's evident with how he offloaded so much content off of Max on the Netflix or wherever would buy the rights. So
so annoying.
Dude does not give a crap about any of the IP that he bought.
Tim, again, we got to keep making more money every year until we have all of the money.
Keep
all of the money.
Yeah.
I can't stand this guy.
Hey, running out of money? You know what? Just print some more. That's how it works.
Yeah. Just print.
Yeah, it's literally paper, guys. Just print it.
Yeah, just make. Exactly.
But one other kind of like bummer news, and then we'll do mostly positive ones. Ubisoft had some layoffs, 124 employees from their Canadian studios primarily and global IT teams. They said it was restructuring. It's not canceling any specific. And that's such a huge company. It's hard to know. Like you see 124, you're like, ouch. But then you think Ubisoft, you're like, all right, that literally could be like, right? That could be a pretty minor restructuring that bumps.
When I see global IT, I think they outsourced those positions. That's what I think they did.
A lot of it's contract work. A lot of it was based out of Canada, a specific office. So it's also one of those things where I don't know. I do think it's a little naive for us to look at any layoff and think they shouldn't have done that. That's a little naive. Maybe what they shouldn't have done is hired that many in the first place. Maybe their growth plan was really poor,
Yeah, we talked about that before of how like these businesses are constantly these ones like WB and stuff are constantly over projecting how well they're going to do to the point where you're like, well, your bubble's going to burst before you even have a chance to make one.
there
Like,
it is.
and you're just gonna lay people off next quarter.
Yep.
Happens every time. Yeah.
And there it is. Okay. So let's talk about Nintendo. Nintendo is selling ridiculous amounts of Switches and games. So there's a whole bunch of details that came out in this recent report. 132 million Switches have been sold.
Oh, that's it?
So that's all. Just 132 million.
Whatever.
They
cares?
are now only 20 million behind PS2, which is the
Wow.
best-selling home console in history.
Wow. That's crazy.
And they're not really slowing down. When games like Mario Wonder come out, they get another boost, and so they continue to get these waves.
I really underestimated how well the PS2 did. I did not know that.
It was
No,
it was
PS2
more viable to buy that than a DVD player at the time. So like everybody,
you're right. You're right.
Yeah, everybody on Earth had one.
Yeah. Because it was like,
Well,
we
also
can
off
get a
the hype
DVD
of
player
one.
for the same price, or get a console that can play DVDs, and we can do more with it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
also,
those are
again,
DVD
the hype
players.
from PS1, like PS1 was.
It was a
very-
combination for sure.
Yeah, it was. a
Oh
combination, it was
yeah.
all that stuff.
It wasn't just the DVDs, obviously.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I actually did know people who owned it as their DVD player, and I was like, "What games?
me
do you
too.
have?" We don't have any games.
Yeah, they would have like
DVD.
GTA
It's
and
a
maybe
Sony
that's
DVD
it.
player. I'm like, no, that plays PlayStation. No, whatever.
Play
No,
what?
it's my DVD. It's the brand. It's called a PlayStation DVD player. It's like, well, all right.
Yeah. Hey, Grandma.
So
Turn on
just
channel
some of
3.
this data is interesting. So Pikmin 4 is the best-selling entry in that series. That's got 2.6 million. By the way, if you get over 1 million sales of a single entry of a game, that's super successful by most counts. Like most companies would be thrilled with selling 1 million copies. And we forget that sometimes when you hear like Minecraft numbers or something, which what is
Yeah,
that? That's
sure.
100 million or whatever Minecraft is. So Pikmin 4 being at 2.6 million is really something. That's really impressive. Tears of the Kingdom's on a faster pace than Breath of the Wild was, although the numbers aren't caught up to it yet, of course. But Breath of the Wild, I think, sold just under 32 million. And
Crazy.
Tears of the Kingdom is in the top 10 at 19.5 million. So that's top 10 of all-time Switch games, which is crazy that there
Yeah,
are.
it is
wild.
crazy. Yeah.
So
I think it's gonna. It's not a negative thing to say. I think it's gonna cap out at like 20 or something, because it's like a lot of people got that scratched that itch with Breath of the Wild,
possible.
possibly.
It's possible, but Breath
and
of the
it
Wild
was a
sold
launch
at
title for a lot of that came with Switches, depending on which one you got. You know,
But Breath of the Wild sales came over time. That's where it's like, who knows
that's
how
that too.
what kind of legs Tears of the Kingdom will have.
Well,
Like,
Nintendo
especially
games
with the
tend to
Switch
have
2
legs
coming
too.
out, you know?
Like look at
Like-
Mario and look at Super
Yeah.
Smash Brothers and look at like they tend to have legs.
they do.
Weirdly,
I know.
you know.
So it might
Very
not
weird.
get too much more over 20. I actually think
Yeah,
it's probably
true.
going to pass Breath of the Wild. If you were to ask me to predict, I'd say it's going to pass it. I think it's going to be.
I think it will if they on the Switch 2 they're like, and we're gonna release a better version of these two
Absolutely.
Zelda games.
I bet that
Absolutely.
happens.
Yeah.
I bet that happens.
So number one, of course, is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. We talked about that. That's over 57 million. I misremember the number. 57 million copies of Mario Kart
Wow.
8 Deluxe have been sold. That's an insane number. But
For such an old game.
I know
So
it's
crazy.
crazy.
It's literally just a Wii U port.
Yeah,
But
it is.
then
But
they
it's
added
also
stuff
like
to
it's like the perfect kart racing game.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. Leave
There's
it
no-
alone.
no kart
Formula's
racing
perfect.
games that are
We're
better.
good.
Animal Crossing New Horizons is at 43 million, over 43 million copies sold of that one. Super
Wow.
Smash Brothers Deluxe over 32 million. Breath of the Wild we talked about over 31. Mario Odyssey just under 27 million copies. Guys, this is a lot of money. Pokemon Sword and Shield over 26 million. Scarlet and Violet 23 million. Mario Party 19, just under 20 million. Tears of the Kingdom just under 20 million. Mario Brothers U Deluxe 16.7. And we just heard that after 2 weeks, Mario Wonder is already over 4 million copies sold in the first
That's
2
incredible.
weeks, which
Yeah.
is the fastest selling Mario game in history of any Super Mario game.
Isn't it like the highest selling already in the UK or somewhere? Like
It's already the highest selling some places, and
Yeah.
it's selling at a faster rate than stuff like Odyssey did, which, of course, as we see
something about the zaniness in the multiplayer aspect, and the fact that you have a no damage characters in there. Like I think is just
All
something
that
universal
helps.
in that
Yeah.
game. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, good
it's
for that
crazy,
game.
man.
It's a rad game.
Nintendo makes a lot of money, my friends. Like so much.
Yeah.
They're Disney.
But they're the
Yeah.
little guys. Well, we
Oh my
we
God.
gotta stop
The
Xbox.
little guys.
Dude. And imagine all the money they made off the Mario movie this year as well. Like
Oh my god,
they
dude.
have so much cash. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Speaking of Mario movies, Nintendo movies, there's a live-action Zelda movie that's been officially announced. It's going to be. To me, this is hilarious that it's being I understand how it works. I understand the industry is different from video games to other media forms. It's just interesting that it's Nintendo and Sony Pictures co-financing this.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's just strange to me. That
It's weird. No, it's just
Sony's
weird.
Gonna help,
period. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sony's going to help finance a Zelda movie. I was like, why?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why?
But apparently, Nintendo, the way the financing is working, Nintendo's a primary financier at like 52% or something. And then
why? Because Sony goes, hey, can we finance it so we can get a big slice of this huge pie? You know?
Absolutely.
Why wouldn't they? They looked at Mario and they were like, we'll co-finance any of your IPs.
Yeah, right.
Oh, for sure.
So it's going to be produced by Miyamoto, which I think is good. I think that's what helped Mario be a better movie than it could have been. If it was just Illumination took the IP and created an Illumination thing, I don't think it would have been nearly as good. I think Miyamoto helped.
I was actually going to say, like, I wish they pursued this as an animated project with Sony Animation.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Yeah,
same.
Mitchell's vs. Machines,
like Spider-Verse.
Dude,
into the link,
or even like the bad guys people like, oh yeah, they're really good, but it's not animated. Sadly, it is live action. And whenever people talk about Hollywood producer Avi Arad, I'm not really that excited about Avi Arad producing this because he's made stuff like Venom. Don't forget. So like,
he's done like a crap ton of movies, and ratio's not great. Let's just put
the ratio's not great.
Yeah,
it's not great. But doesn't mean it's gonna be bad.
But he's just producing, right? Like, he's not directing.
He's producing, but he. Yeah,
you're right.
There's still like a weird stamp from certain producers, and he feels like one of those producers where you're like, you can tell this was a movie that he had a hand in. Maybe not, but the director is one of those guys who, I don't know. He did the Maze Runner trilogy, and he's the director for the upcoming, looks great from the trailer, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes movie.
Okay,
I'm so excited for that.
But I don't know what that means for a Zelda movie. I have no idea.
Yeah, I liked the first Maze Runner movie just fine, even though the cliffhanger was dumb. I never saw any of the other ones, and I feel like he was just kind of.
I fell asleep.
I think I never watched any of them. I think he was just shackled to the rest of the series because it was like, well, I agreed to do this, and I should see it through or whatever.
I do my teen dystopia.
Maybe
movie.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
They certainly weren't ugly movies by any stretch, but just some of them were just really stupid. Well, I mean, I didn't see the other ones, but
guys, I got to tell you, I don't want a live action
was
Zelda
really
movie.
This is not how I wanted it.
Yeah.
I don't want a live action Zelda movie.
Like I said, Sony Animation was right there, and Avi Arad was like, no. I'm gonna shit this up real quick. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I mean, Nintendo is not gonna just throw their IP to the
I agree with that.
At the wall and just be like, whatever.
I just also think about who they hire like to play Link. He's gonna get death threats. I mean, that's just like
oh, absolutely.
The second he talks,
well, it's gonna be Machine Gun Kelly. It's gonna be Machine Gun Kelly.
Kelly wants it.
We need it to be a 7-foot trailer trash looking guy.
So yeah, I don't know.
Talented, washed up.
Dude, I would love it if they cast
Never has
Eminem
been.
just to diss MGK. Like,
cast.
I mean, Batista's gonna play Ganon. You know, like it's just that's
absolutely.
fan cast is whole thing.
Zelda, stopping Ganon.
I do think they should just get Chris Pratt to play Link. To be honest,
they should.
Yeah. Just to be honest.
Do you think they go silent? They go silent.
You can't do that with the movie.
How do you do that? Yeah, I think that, and if they do that, it's not going to work. You know,
they would have to have a story reason that he can't speak, and Zelda like they have
Navi stole his voice, so she talks for him the entire.
Oh, like
movie.
little Link.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
I can't wait for the joke of like Charlie Day or something being like, "Hey, listen, hey, listen, hey, listen."
Dude, hold on,
totally being in the trailer.
Hold on, Charlie Day as Tingle, right? Right?
I'm in. I'm in.
Come on.
I think Dan Freitas as Tingle. He's got the costume already.
Hey, that's true. You got Nintendo. Give me a call. I'll do it. I don't even care.
Doesn't matter. I'll do it. That's my.
Do it.
I don't know. Like I want to stay positive about it. I want to think what Dan just said is totally true. Where Miyamoto being involved, Nintendo just did this with Mario, and they did a pretty good job, all things considered, with delivering a Mario movie that I think was
fun.
Good. Yeah, it was good fun.
There were definitely some like Hollywood elements in that movie that I noticed that was like, oh, this is kind of annoying. But ultimately, it felt like the full vision of it was
it
like
could have been really bad.
Yeah, Nintendo felt like they were looking at all of the big bigger ideas with the story and the characters and going yes or no. Basically, it felt like they had a hand in the success of that movie for
Yeah,
sure.
I don't know. I don't like. I'm trying to think of fantasy movies I've seen that I want this to look like. I just don't know that I want to see Zelda
I
in
just
a live
want it
action.
animated like Spider-Verse. That's damn it.
I don't know.
It was right
It was
there,
right there,
dude.
man. Yeah, it was right there.
Listen. Make it like Lord of the Rings, but Zelda. All right, just
Yeah, maybe.
be serious.
Orlando
be
Bloom is,
serious.
I don't know if I
confirmed.
don't want a
Yes,
realistic,
exactly.
gritty Zelda game. I don't know.
I mean,
I don't
Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom have they're probably the grittiest, right?
Yeah, but there's still like levity in it, you know. There's still
Yeah,
like
but
weird
also the color
characters.
palette
Twilight
is
Princess
very-
is pretty.
It's very like light color palettes. Even when
Sure.
in dark areas, there's just a lot of like airy brushiness to it that kind of gives it a painting look and feel. The only one that to me felt gritty was Twilight Princess.
Twilight
about
Princess is pretty. Yeah.
Ocarina of Time, I would probably put in the gritty category.
Yeah,
Like half of
yeah,
that, half of that
'cause,
game is dark and
yeah,
apocalyptic,
yeah.
you know. But
You
no,
know,
yeah,
they could do that though. That actually would be fun if maybe.
Or
I'm wondering,
change
I'm wondering if it would-
directions and just do an animated Wind Waker. Do it like that.
that'd be
Sure.
awesome.
I would
That'd be
I would
really
watch
cute.
that.
That'd be
It's all
cute.
like traditional Japanese watercolors or
Yes.
something. Ugh,
Sure.
I'm so
Make
into
it adorable
Uh-oh.
and pretty and cute.
But I wonder if they're gonna follow any of the games or it'll be an original thing. That's what I'm curious
Oh,
about.
I
it's
bet it's
probably
a
gonna be
combination.
original.
Like the Mario Brothers movie was like. Remember all these references?
Yeah,
know,
it'll
from
be
the games.
reference filled. It'll be about the Triforce, you know.
Well,
like, 'cause it always is.
what's like funny, and I say funny loosely, like there are hardcore Zelda fans that are like, "What's the timeline though? Like, you need how are these connected? How are these
The
connected?" It's like,
uncanon timeline.
I think
Yeah,
they
yeah.
either do a Ocarina
that's a
of
book,
Time
right?
or a Link to the Past
Yeah.
story. Those to me are like the safest ones that are most popular, and they're solid like narratives. Like
I wish they would go crazy and do Majora's Mask, so it's just uncomfortable and
Dude,
weird. The
that would
entire
be
like you're
wild.
watching just an uncomfortable and weird movie, you know.
that would be
And it would
really
be a
funny.
child,
David
Yeah,
Lynch
I'd be
comes in
super
as
into
director
it, yeah.
suddenly. Yeah, it's
Or do the Minish
Yeah.
Cap where everything has to be like you have to shrink them down to a tiny size.
Oh hey, uncomfortable,
Honey, I Shrunk the
weird.
Kids.
We should put Nathan Fielder as Link then. There you
Yeah,
go.
he'd be
Boom.
good.
Oh my gosh. All right, let's keep moving
So
here.
You're saying I have to save the princess, or
Dan, you were talking about Mario RPG coming out this week. It was confirmed that Japanese studio Arte Piazza, which I
Yeah,
didn't
I
know who
was
they
hearing
were.
Okay.
They're the ones who are behind this. A lot of people were speculating that it was Camelot or Nintendo themselves, maybe some
Yep.
Square team or something. But it turns out it's this team that has worked a lot on Dragon's Quest games as far back as Dragon
People
Quest 3. in
seem
the
to be
90s.
very, very happy about this. I
Yeah.
was just poking a little bit into some tweets and stuff, and like people were like, "No, are you kidding me?"
Hardcore
Like,
fans really like this studio, I guess. In the work
yes, yes. So that's
Cool.
exciting. Yeah, that's
and
exciting.
I guess the Square Enix involvement was basically just supervision. Like they got to kind of oversee certain aspects of it, but otherwise it was just this team, this development.
And
team.
Shimamura came back for the soundtrack. She did the original one.
Yeah.
And for anybody who doesn't know who Shimamura is, she literally does all the Kingdom Hearts soundtrack,
Oh,
which
nice.
you know that soundtrack is beautiful. And then-
Boring. No,
Well, a
they're
bunch
my
of their
favorite. Those are some of my
original-
favorite music in
Snooze.
games. Yeah.
A bunch of the original development team were involved. The event designer, co-director, and composer, like you mentioned, were
Okay.
all involved as well.
Final Fantasy 15 also.
So there you go, guys. I'm very excited for that game this week.
We'll be playing it by this time next week. So
Bro, I can't believe that time is already here. That's insane.
we're already there.
It's already here.
We're already there.
Already,
Uh,
to quote other Texans, it's already here.
It's already here, guys.
Already, we're
Already here.
Hey, it is November. That means we've passed N7 Day, and BioWare gave us a ton of info on Mass Effect 4.
And it's
kidding.
coming soon.
They were like the dumbest little teasers. But hey, if you're a Mass Effect fan and you're kind of hungry for any news, it was something. So you got to give them that. It was something.
It's fun
I
that
guess.
they do that, but also like stop.
But don't do
Yeah.
that.
I like
Did you
that we're like celebrating N7 Day. I like N7 Day. I love Mass Effect. It's one of my favorite things ever to exist, you know, but like, what did you show me? You know?
Did you see the artwork? And there was like a there's just a still or whatever, but there was like in the background you could see a Geth in a robe, and I'm like, what's happening? What's going
the
on?
Geth
That?
are back. The Geth are back, baby.
But why is he in a robe? Are they like distinguished now? What's going on?
Yeah, by the end of 3, they
they're
were.
robots
I guess
of the
depending
Yeah,
on
true.
your
Yeah,
depending on your ending.
I mean, yeah, me and Legion were BFFs, so it
There's
was-
certain dates on the calendar are funny. Like March 10th is Mario Day, and some they'll have like Nintendo has leaned into that in the past, where they'll like have a
Why
sale.
It's the
is
Last
that
of Us
Mario?
Day. Yeah,
Because
there's game days for like almost every game now.
1-0 March 10th Mario.
Oh,
The I
okay.
is like a 1.
That's
and
pretty
Yep.
brilliant. All right, I love
MAR
it.
10.
Not bad. It's not bad. All right, so the first Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer is going to premiere next month. I guess it's technically not GTA 6, is it? It's just the next GTA. It might not be called GTA 6, right? Or maybe it will.
I
Maybe
think
they did
they'll
say
keep
6.
with the numbered series because
Yeah.
that's what they've been doing.
Yeah.
They're not shy, they're not like Hollywood studios that are like, we're not using numbers anymore, dude. We're putting subtitles. You know, they don't
Right,
shy away
right.
from the
Wouldn't
Do
it
we
be
think
funny
this
if
is
this was-
a separate Rockstar thing, or do we think this is Game Awards?
They can
They're
afford
set
to do
next
their own
month.
separate thing. So.
They always do.
They
always do.
historically do their own separate thing, but I
Yeah.
could see Keeley being like,
It's
I'll sweeten the
finally
pot.
here.
Yeah, I don't know, like just like he did something
Crying.
to like,
It's finally.
I'll give your studio $1 million. I don't know, like
I'll
he
Yeah.
suck
did
your
something
dick
to
right
sweeten
now.
the pie.
I will.
You know?
Listen, he's got the viewers to be able to easily sell it to Rockstar if he
Yeah.
wanted to.
Yeah.
Sure.
Not that they need his help, but
yeah,
yeah.
and the thing is, like, they pride themselves on being like, we don't need the industry. We're Rockstar.
Yeah.
It's like you guys are. Yeah, I'm here.
They're
They're
for
not
it.
rock
wrong.
stars.
Yeah.
They're rock
You're-
stars.
you're
I
right.
gotta tell you, I'm just a little relieved that there's official word on it and it's happening
agree.
because I feel like they've
Yeah.
made so much money on their online games, especially GTA Online primarily, that I'm like, will they ever make a single player experience
Yeah,
again?
I think they're gonna take a play out of Call of Duty's book, and they're just gonna launch GTA 6 via GTA Online. It's
Oh,
just the
no.
same game. You know,
It's gonna say beta up in the
it's
corner.
got a new number on it, like Modern Warfare 3. You know, and we're just gonna. Go
I
from
mean,
there.
I hope you're so wrong about this.
The thing
Me,
with
dude,
Rockstar-
I Grand Theft Auto is like, and this is such a basic bitch bro thing to say, but like, it's one of the greatest video games series of all time. It just is. Sorry, I know it's super popular. I know
And
it's like
Five's
saying
like the best version of it, man. So I want the next
it's
one.
the best. Yeah, it's the. It's
if they're gonna
so
be
yes.
objective sales wise, like it's what.
Yeah.
Exactly.
By the way,
I mean,
Kyle,
that's-
you mentioned cutting out of school or whatever to go get a copy of a game. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas is one where I called off work and told people that I know and love that I'm going to work, but I lied to everybody. And I
lied
went
for
to the
Grand
mall
Theft
and
Auto.
I waited in line to get San Andreas. That's right. Yes, I
Officer
did.
Tim Penny.
Yes.
That's right.
I did that for
Uh,
5.
And it
OG.
was worth it because when I came back and played it at my house nonstop for like 4 days, I was like, this is the best
Oh
experience
yeah.
I've ever had.
Yeah, that was
You
a
get
great
fat
thing.
from eating food. It's great.
Yeah.
It's so cool. You get muscles.
You
You
can.
do.
That's right.
Yeah.
Netflix has a new. They've announced a bunch of stuff, including a Devil May Cry series, Witcher
Yes.
show called Sirens of the Deep. This is another animated series, which, by the way, brings back the original voice of Geralt, which is cool, as well as some
Say his name.
the main show. Doug Cockle.
There you go.
Mr.
Mr. Cockle is
okay.
back, baby.
Cockle, who, by the way,
Cockle.
known as the narrator for Tales of Iron. That game.
Yep. That's the only thing I know him from, actually. Yeah.
Sure.
That's the only thing he's in. Um,
Well known
yeah.
for.
As we mentioned earlier, Netflix, despite all the what seemed like bad news over the last couple of years with canceling project after project, they're really delivering on a lot of animated content. They really are.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
to give them, like, we're gonna whine and complain about pricing and canceling stuff. We have to give
Yeah.
them credit when they're doing good, and this is good content that they continue to create.
Yeah, I'm
especially
upset I
anim-
had to downgrade my plan to $15, which was the price at one point of the 4K plan. But I mean, when I'm watching Blue Eye Samurai, I'm like, I don't care. Like, I'm just like,
Yeah,
this
take
is
my money.
amazing. You know,
It's
yeah.
fine. The 2024 Grammy nominations for Best Video Game Soundtrack have been revealed. We've got Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, God of War Ragnarok, Hogwarts Legacy, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and Stray Gods, the role-playing musical. I hate this category
What?
at the Grammys
Yeah.
because the timing is very odd. Like, I don't know. I
It's
just don't
very,
like it.
yeah, like, I think one of the best albums of the year, this is outside of video games, is Hozier's new album, Unreal Unearth. And it's acclaimed, critically acclaimed. It's a darling, not nominated for anything, like at all. And I'm like, did it miss the cutoff? Because it's like a really weird timing, and then we'll see it next year, and all of us will go, "Oh yeah, that was a great album." Like,
I like to
it's
think that
that's-
some
the Grammys
Grammy
are so
executive
weird.
has like a nephew who plays some video games. Like, what games had some good music? He's like, I don't know.
Star
the
Wars.
mainstream ones.
And then you
Star
have that one
Wars.
person in the background going, "Stray Gods,
Stray
You got the
Gods,
Stray
really
Gods
good.
in there."
Yeah. They're like, it's in. It made the cut. You know.
I think all they did was a Google search with video games with musical in it. And like,
Yeah.
oh, there's one.
Sure.
And,
Yeah,
it's in the
and then
title.
what they're like googling, what did Bear McCreary do in the last year? Yeah,
Mm.
There's one.
there's one.
Anyway,
He's winning. He's totally winning.
last but not least, Valve wants more money. They created this OLED version of the Steam
Shocker.
Deck. It comes out this coming week, I believe. So this is not meant to be like the next gen. They clarified that as many ways as they could. That's still a few years away. They even said the technology is currently still being developed to meet the needs that we have for the next gen of Steam Deck. But they have said, and I think this is good proof of it, they're all in on this device, which is very exciting for me as a Steam Deck owner, that they're going to continue to make that a high priority, which I think is awesome. And I love the Steam Deck. I've used it a ton. I think it's a great piece of hardware. It's a really cool way to be able to take my PC games away from my desk from time to time. So I like it. This OLED, though, I got to tell you, it's about as tempted as I've been to just buying an upgrade mid-life cycle. It sounds like such an improvement. And the number one thing is the battery life, which some folks, we bashed an IGN, but I really liked their deep dive into this. They talked about how the battery life is almost twice as long. Like, you can play major heavy games like Cyberpunk twice as long as you could have before, where it was like 1.5 hours before, maybe 2 if you're lucky. Now it's close to 4 battery life, which is crazy. That's a lot. And the OLED screen's a little bit bigger. They even added these little touches on the actual device, these little designs on the actual device, including like the button has a color to it and the analog sticks have like a little bit of orange in it. It just looks nicer. It just has a cooler look to it now. So I think there's a lot of improvements. Is it enough that I'm just going to throw another 600 at it? No, it's not. Like, I'm not planning on getting this. If I knew someone who wanted to buy mine for a few hundred, I'd probably do it, but I don't. So anyway, that it is what it is. But yeah, they're updating a lot of stuff. That system does get hot. Like, there are times when it gets like actually hot to the touch after you play it for a long time. And so they've really improved that. Apparently, it's going to be a little bit lighter. It's just improved in every way. So, and it's replacing the old models. By the way, if you've been waiting to get a Steam Deck till a price drop, now's actually a good time. They're going to just let their inventory empty out of the original version of the Steam Deck. So you can get, I think it's dropped like $100 or $200 in price, maybe $100. So you can go get one of those now if you want to, before they're all gone. So there you go. The OLED does sound pretty cool, but that's it. That's all I got. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to wrap up this episode. Thank you guys for listening, and keep an eye on the YouTube channel or our podcast feed. If you want to get a bonus episode, probably drop it the day after this one, of Spider-Man 2. It's going to be a spoiler cast. We're going to talk about the full narrative. We're going to spoil anything we can remember. So like, chances are we'll spoil lots of experiences, powers, storylines, characters, all that stuff. So do not listen if you don't want to know what happens in that game. But if you don't care, or if you've already played it, please do listen. So that's
Peter
it for this episode. What are you doing?
Oh, sorry.
What are you doing? just grow up. Or
people will believe it. People will believe it. All right, guys, we're out of here. Thanks for listening. See ya.